Hello, everyone. I'm streaming today with Mercoffdaperc. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I guess we're both live, so do you want to introduce yourself first, or do you want me to, or?
Uh, Hi, I'm Merc. I'm 26. I live in Miami. I stream on kick.com. You can find me at Merc off the perk. I play video games. I sometimes talk. Yeah, I do a lot of different things, a variety of things, if you will.
Well, nothing wrong with that. I'm Kevin McDonald, Tachyon Blue. I'm a political live streamer, but I'm also working on my second book about Gamergate. I've interviewed over 70 people involved on both sides of the controversy, and it's my
Mm.
first time on webcam in a long time. So it's a shock for everybody who's watching. Anybody who cares, at least. So anyway, Merc, I just wanted to talk with you about my upcoming book and also just whatever you want to talk about. And this Gamergate controversy, I've spent way too much time studying it. So
I guess for me, like I did a little research. I understand that like there's a the original Gamergate and now there's a new one, Gamergate 2.0, which was started because of like Sweet Baby Inc. and all that good stuff. So I'm not too educated on it. So I was hoping that maybe you could educate me just a little bit. Give me a
sure,
little overview.
yeah, absolutely, and yeah, there's I guess probably best to start with I guess like Gamergate one,
Mhm.
unless you want to jump in too.
If you feel free, like I said, I don't know too much about it.
Okay. So the sort of like before Gamergate started, I guess there's like some controversies. The games journalism
Hmm.
industry. Um, there is like the Doritosgate controversy. If I look to the side, sorry, I'm referencing. I got this outline I created that might be useful to go over. But like the Doritos Gate controversy, where
Hmm.
Jeff Keighley, one of the games journalists, kind of became a meme because he was promoting like Mountain Dew and Doritos, and there was this
Hmm.
perception that there was a lot of corruption.
Like dank memes and stuff, right? And like the whole like COD stuff, like that.
Um, COD stuff.
Yeah, like how they used to have like the Doritos
Oh
and like
yeah,
the soap and like all the like that's dank stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Have you seen the meme before? Doritos Pope.
Mm-mm. See.
Also, chat,
Oh, I see that.
yell at me if the stream goes black.
So this goes back far because I remember like this is early.
Yeah, what year was this actually?
Like
2012 looks
2000,
like, or
yeah. Yeah, 2012 about, which was pretty much when everything started taking like a downfall.
yeah, 2012. So yeah, there was like that controversy and the Kane and Lynch controversy too, where one of the writers at GameSpot was
Mm-hmm.
fired because he gave Kane and Lynch a negative review, and they were a big advertiser at GameSpot.
Gotcha.
So there's like a lot of prehistory, and there's also some prehistory involving like some of the specific people involved in this upcoming controversy that we're going to be discussing. Um, so there's also like there's already like a distrust kind of in
Mm-hmm.
between some people and some of the games press before going into this Gamergate controversy, and also before that too. I think going over like the prehistory of some of the players like might be important. Are
Mm-hmm.
you familiar with Zoe Quinn?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so she's an indie developer, and she made the game Depression Quest, and she played kind of a big role in the controversy. Not that big of a role, but like she was involved to like a fair
Mm-hmm.
degree. But she had in 2007 she had an encounter with so she worked as an adult model, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not like trying to
Mm-hmm.
shame people. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that kind of work. Um, but she worked as an adult model, and she worked with a photographer named
Gotcha.
Cole Nasrallah. And Cole Nasrallah, she's now a philosophy professor
Mm.
at a university in Nevada. Um, and she's cool. I'm on good terms with her. I've interviewed her for the book, and basically, this whole photo shoot doesn't go so great. Um, and like some of the accommodations weren't there for Cole and stuff that were
Mm.
promised. But like this was 2007, a lot of it's relatively minor stuff. But
Gotcha.
Zoe tells Cole a bunch of stories, including a story about how she killed somebody at one of her last jobs. Yeah, she worked at a club. Well, she worked at a few places. She worked as like a pizza delivery driver,
Mm.
and then like at a club too. Also, I apologize if it's shaky. By the way, I need to find some way to get a secure position for it. But she worked at a club, and she says that she killed one of the patrons who tried to attack her. And then she seemingly got into like a bunch of incidents, like with the pizza delivery job, where she kept getting attacked by people supposedly. But Cole was skeptical of these claims,
Mm-hmm.
and then later but you know what, like 2007, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then 2 years later, in 2009, the same person, Quinn, she posts on the forums of this modeling site, and she has all the evidence for this too, that she's made available. But
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
2009, Quinn makes a bunch of claims, including that that Cole had shown her like inappropriate images and stuff like that. It's not true, but like
Mm-hmm.
harming her reputation within the modeling industry,
Gotcha.
um, because she was sharing it on this models forum, like
Mm.
warning other models not to work with Cole, basically.
Gotcha.
And so Cole, she sits on this stuff for a long time, and that part of the story is going to be revisited later on because she
Gotcha.
comes out. Well, actually, we just say it now, I guess. But Cole, she shares. So as the GamerGate controversy blows up,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it was August 2014, Cole actually posts on Facebook and uses the GamerGate hashtag, and she shares like, "Hey, look, this Zoe Quinn person, she's a she's got a really sketchy history. People should be careful of her." But few
Huh.
heeded her warning. Her story went largely under the radar and was
Mm-hmm.
mostly unnoticed for several years until basically
Gotcha.
I helped resurface it.
Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
that's a 2007 2009. This is before GamerGate still.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2013 there's a Wizardchan incident. So the same person,
What's
Zoe Quinn.
Wizardchan?
It's an incel forum. So do you like incels who?
Are you an incel?
I am definitely not an incel.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah, but um, it's an incel forum and like an image board. Do you like 4chan or 8chan?
Yes, yeah, I know what
Okay.
4chan is. I used to 4chan.
Yeah, so it's like that, but it's for people who are virgins. So there's this meme, right, where if
Mm.
you haven't had sex before you're 30, you become a wizard.
Oh,
Apparently, it's like an internet meme.
gotcha. Okay.
So anyway, she gets into a spat with that community,
Oh, the
um,
wizard incel community.
the wizard incel community.
That's a bad community to get involved with, huh?
Well, some people would say I've actually interacted with them a little bit because I wanted to reach out to them to get their side of the story for this
Mm-hmm.
project. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so Quinn says that these people on the forum, on the incel forum, that
Uh-huh.
they are harassing her.
Oh.
So she posts two screenshots of posts on the forum by anonymous users.
Mm-hmm.
And the posts, one of them says like she's a bitch, I think. Not like to her face, but like on the
Yeah.
forum. And so she goes and tells the press, including the Escapist gaming website. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Okay. But they're kind of like on their way out. They just had a bunch of their staff
Mm-hmm.
quit and stuff, so I'm not sure how much
Mm.
longer they're going to be around. But they ran with the story. They're like, hey, look, this woman's being harassed. This game developer's being harassed. But they never reached out to the Wizardchan people for comment.
Mm.
And so the Wizardchan people say that is not true. They say that our community didn't harass her. She also said that Quinn said that she got harassing phone calls from them.
I wouldn't
Um,
doubt it. I wouldn't fucking doubt it.
but unfortunately, there was like never really a lot of evidence provided that these harassing phone calls happened, or that the community was responsible. They deny it.
Mm.
Um, and the escapists later walked back the story and said that they didn't verify it before which doesn't mean it didn't happen necessarily,
Yeah.
but and they also the webmaster. So there's two webmasters. There's Frederick Brennan, who actually created 8chan later on. Um, he says that Glaive, one of the previous webmasters, told
Mm.
him that they thought that Quinn was the one. Quinn or her friends basically were creating the posts, the two forum posts that attacked her, and that they say that they thought it was them.
Here's the thing though, you have a fucking incel community. Of course they're gonna attack women. So like the notion that it's not possible or probable that they did that's completely false. Because like even me, like in some situations, like the way my brain works is, okay, why produce the evidence of phone calls when people aren't going to believe you anyway? People are going to think that they're doctored. People are going to think they're fake. So like, why even produce that? So the fact that just because she didn't show evidence for a phone call or didn't show evidence for this doesn't mean it didn't happen. Like you gotta consider where the fucking harassment's coming from. It's incels. They're gonna harass women. So I don't know. I think it's like a little tit for tat thing. Like she may have done something wrong. They definitely did something wrong because they're incels. So it's just like a he said she said kind of thing.
Well, I don't know if I would like say that they like definitely did something wrong because they're incels. I mean, like I don't like I'm not like a I don't have affinities towards like the incel community
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, but like I wouldn't just like assume that they're guilty. Um, I would give them the benefit of the doubt of evidence. I don't think that like I don't think holding that like belief system like that
Mm-hmm.
is wrong, but like that's not an action in and of itself, right? The actions are like what's bad.
And they were on 4chan, correct?
No, Wizardchan.
Oh, so it's different from 4chan. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was like okay. Well, that's what I was gonna say because I was like, you know what 4chan is, right? Like I've seen like when that whole Bianca Devins thing went down. Like we saw how the internet treated her, and they were 4chaners, and they were men, and they were incels. So to say that someone didn't do that to her is kind of like a farce. It's not true. It's
Yeah, I
fake,
mean,
fake news.
it's possible that the Wizardchan people are lying. It's also possible
Mm,
that Quinn was lying. I wouldn't just I would just not assume personally one way or the
gotcha.
other. But I'm biased against Quinn. You should know
Mm.
because I think she's been dishonest about other things.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But
Well,
so I have a bias there. And the Wizardchan people say that they have an IP address that supposedly the IP address was the same as Quinn's IP, which I don't know how they had Quinn's IP address
and
necessarily.
that just proves that
But
they
I
logged her
don't.
IP and they have
But
it's
I don't.
weird.
Again, But that's what they say. But I haven't
Hmm.
seen the IP address myself and stuff. I can't verify it.
So is
But
this what kickstarted Gamergate?
no, this was like 6 months before, or no, like 9 months before. This is December
Mm,
2013. So we're still like
gotcha.
way before. But the next thing we're moving. So did you ever read like the Zoe Post?
No, because like I game and stuff. I play video games, but I'm not like deep like that. Like I don't like, and this is just for a lack of a better phrase. Like I don't spend all my time like reading gamer stuff and like getting too involved in that stuff because like it's not really games that interest me, but like the politics and the social part of it, where it becomes like a political conversation, I don't really enjoy it because like I have thoughts and I've been very vocal about my thoughts, and it just like sometimes you can't talk to people because they don't want to hear it, and it's just like I just avoid all of that bullshit.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, this might be a very boring conversation for you because this like
Mm-hmm.
intersects with politics to a degree. Though the, though we don't have to like dive super deep into the
I'm
politics portion of it.
down because you seem sensible, so
Oh,
you know.
thanks. So you've had a lot of negative experiences. I saw you on Kick or Keep. I didn't see like the
Mm.
whole stream, but like how'd that go?
It was definitely a lesson. It was an experience for sure. Here's the thing, like I was always the consumer of content, okay? Like I grew up on like YouTube and I would watch like Machinima and like I was a simmer and like I did all that stuff, right? I was never the one who like created the content, and finally like I was like, you know what, what's stopping me from doing it? Because like I did like I always wanted to, and there were times where I would like post little videos and stuff, but I was like more like nervous and shy, and I was very insecure growing up, so that kind of kept me from like being on a camera. But like finally I got to a point where it's like, no, this is what I enjoy. I enjoy like the like connecting with people, playing video games, like the community part of it. It's like I'll just do it. And like it just happened so quickly. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know like I didn't even think that I could actually do it like professionally and actually be good at it. So like I kind of just like trolled everyone and like just had fun, which is what I wanted to do. And I guess that they were taking it serious and I wasn't, and it was a bad experience. I had a lot of things said about me, and I've had phone calls, I've had text messages, I've had family members contacted, and I've been doxxed. So like I that's why I say like I understand because I've went through it firsthand. So
Well, I'm terribly sorry that you had to experience that. That sucks. I've had a little bit of that too. Probably not nearly on the same level, but yeah, it's definitely it sucks.
I think it is as to some degree a part of it. Like if you are a streamer, like you have to deal with some things, and I completely get that. But it's the fact that we should deal with them and have to deal with them is it's wrong. Like people shouldn't do stuff like that. Like people are insane, and like that's the problem. And I assume that's where it like comes in, like mental illness or like the politics of it, where it's like, is this like an SJW issue? Is this a left versus right? Is this a a race thing? Like it's just there's so many problems with what comes with what we do, and I don't know, I don't agree. And but my way of thinking is not conventional. I think really different when it comes to things like this.
Well, what do you think?
I think that people should just leave people alone. Like I should be able to like do what I want on the internet and not have people like dox me or have people contact my family members. I think that that literally is a sign of like actual mental illness, and like the fact that people are subjected to it and have to deal with it. I just don't I don't agree. We shouldn't have to deal with it because people should have common sense. There should be like an added layer to use the internet, you know? An IQ test or something.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. Like I'm unfortunately, or for better or worse, I'm kind of like black pilled on it. Like I don't
Hmm.
know if there like can be a solution that wouldn't
Hmm.
have consequences that are like far worse. Like if let's say like we force everybody to use their real name on like all
Hmm.
social media, I think that there's a lot of negatives to that too.
Hmm.
So like I don't know, other than like law enforcement being good at like tracking down the people who do
Hmm.
like doing being better, and like maybe like I don't know how you do that because it's the
Hmm.
person harassing you could be in like Brazil. Like in some case, like one of
Hmm.
the GamerGate people, well he wasn't a GamerGate person, but one of the people who did engage in harassment during the GamerGate controversy, like he lived in Brazil and he was sending death
Hmm.
threats to Anita Sarkeesian, the feminist YouTuber,
Oh yeah, I've heard of her.
and like he was sending
Or
her
is it
death threats,
him?
but
Oh,
he
it's a
lives in a
guy, right?
oh, sorry.
Who's the YouTuber?
Anita Sarkeesian, she ran
Oh, yeah.
Feminist Frequency.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, I'm kind of like black pilled on like I don't know what the solution is. I don't know um, the solution that wouldn't cause like more problems. But like what do you think we should do?
Well, I know that there's no solution, and like if you fix the problem, it'll just create a problem for someone else. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if those issues arrive, like with what happened to me, I feel like people should be open to like redemption arcs and like giving people a chance to prove who they are and like actually like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people will choose content over like who the person really is or like the emotions or feelings. And I understand that like you can't be too emotional. Like it's content. That's what it is. But at the same time, like a lot of the things that are said, like they're terrible. You know, like death threats, and I even had like rape threats and stuff like that. So like I don't know. I feel like it's hard, but I think that like moderation systems should be taken more seriously, and that people who are moderators of certain platforms or streaming services should take their job more seriously, because it could like in the case of Bianca Devins, it could like go a lot further, you know, where someone's actually getting harmed in real life, or you know, lives are being taken, people are being, you know, hurt.
What happened with the Bianca Devins case?
So the short story is she was like an internet a niche celebrity. She did like stuff on Instagram, and she was she frequented like Discord servers and stuff like that. And I guess she had developed somewhat of like a following, and like it was mainly incels. And I guess from what I
Wait, she had an
gathered, one of
incel following?
yeah. And I guess one of the guys like really liked her, and she didn't like him, but yet they still hung out or something like that. And he ended up slitting her throat. Yeah, in the back in the back of his car. And he posted pictures of it to the Discord, and it was all over Reddit. It was all over 4chan. It was a big deal, which is why I say like it's not hard to believe that men would treat women like that, because I've seen it firsthand. We have cases like Bianca where it's happened and people's lives have been lost. So
Yeah, I'm
it's a very real
definitely
thing.
yeah definitely against harassment of like all kinds for sure.
Mm.
Um, that's a terrible situation.
Yeah.
So uh, August 2014, Aaron Joni, he works in the games industry. He's a programmer. Um, and he's dating Zoe Quinn, the person we mentioned
Hmm.
before. That's why I brought up her prehistory because like she plays more of a role later on too.
Gotcha.
Um, so they're dating, and he makes a blog post because he finds out that that she's cheating on him. And one of the people that she's cheating on him with is Nathan Grayson. He works for Kotaku in Rock Paper Shotgun. He's a games
Hmm.
journalist, and Mr. Grayson had written a couple of articles. He'd written an article that promoted her game over 49 others on this list of games. and then he also released an article about the Polaris Game Jam situation, which is this game. Are you familiar with game jams?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it's like a contest where like they get a group of developers together and they try and make a game within a short period of time, like 72 hours or 24 hours, something like
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
And they were filming it too, the game jam. So they were filming it, and Quinn allegedly tried to sabotage it. She says later on, she says this years later. So at the
Mm.
time, this wasn't known, but Nathan Grayson's the person Kotaku has investigate the story, and he doesn't disclose either in that article or in the article where he promoted her game over 49 others on this list of games that are coming to Steam Greenlight. Both like relatively minor offenses, I guess, but he doesn't disclose their personal relationship. And so people find out, well, hey, look, these two people have a close, intimate relationship, and they're not
Mm.
disclosing this. And that
Gotcha.
was revealed originally because of the blog post where this guy talks about how his girlfriend was cheating on him, and one of the person she was cheating on him with, one of the people, was was Nathan Grayson,
So
and he
he used his position to basically bring her down for cheating on him, which is something that could have been handled privately.
yeah, that's what a lot of people think. Some people, I don't know, I'm mixed on it because like he does to go over some of the stuff that it does look emotionally abusive. Like she
Mm-hmm.
tells him that she's pregnant and stuff, and then it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then she also like one of the big things that they fight about. I read the whole thing. It's kind of boring actually, but I got to I can send you the URL if you want to read it. Um, but like one of the things that they're upset about that they fight over is that Grace Aaron Joni tells here I'll tag you or I'll send it to you in DMs whichever.
On Twitter, yeah.
Oh, on Twitter, yeah, that works.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that they fight over is that one of the so she she cheated on him with 5 people. One of the people was Grayson, but like one of the other people was Joshua Boggs,
Mm-hmm.
who worked with Quinn, and Joshua Boggs is married. So Joni thought that Quinn should have told that they should have confronted Joshua Boggs' wife and tell her, hey, look, I'm sorry, but your husband had an affair. And inform him basically. Especially since like with STD risk and stuff like that, they
Yeah.
they thought that it was the right thing to do to tell her, but supposedly according to Joni, Quinn didn't want to tell um, Mrs. Boggs. So that's one thing that they fought over too, and so and he felt like she was an emotionally abusive. I'm sure she probably feels the same way. I don't like care
Mm.
about their personal relationship really, um, but he felt like he should make it public. And like other people
Mm.
disagree. He was later asked about this later on by Aaron Pabone. He's a games journalist. He asked Aaron Joni, do you have any regrets? And Joni said that the only thing he regretted was that he put a joke in there called Burgers and Fries, like the restaurant, because it was 5 people that she slept with, cheated on him with. He
Oh.
says that he regrets doing that. He wouldn't make that joke today, um, but he had no other
Well, that makes
regrets.
sense. That makes sense.
But there's like two different. So now we're entering a period where things go crazy for like a 2 week period. Um, you have a few things happen. You have like some other controversies happen. So
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Grayson, the same guy, the same games journalist, he has another potential. It's not proven, but a potential conflict of interest involving Robin Arnott, another game developer, um, who's also like in that same friend group with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he friends with Joni and with Grayson and I don't know if they're yeah, friends with Grayson and Joni probably, and Quinn, but are not basically the whole conflict of interest there is that Robin Arnott and him might be friends because they're friends on Facebook, and because Robin Arnott or Nathan Grayson writes in an article that he's greets Robin with a hug. So
Mm.
and he reviews. I believe it was a review. It could be a promotion. I better. I'll just say article. He writes an article because I don't remember exactly. I think it was a review, but Sound Self of his game Sound Self, and he promotes the game. Um, but he doesn't disclose, hey, look, I'm friends with this person. But I don't know if
Mm.
like Facebook and hugging somebody at least once, and then being friends on Facebook really means that they're friends. I don't. That's so I wouldn't
I
convict him
feel
of.
like from what I hear, a lot of it's like nitpicking and like very like mundane and like redundant. Like there's no reason that this should have blown up like this
No,
just
it
because
shouldn't
of
have.
all these. It literally sounds like a bunch of children.
Well,
Like
then
that's what it
there's.
sounds like to me.
Well, I think it's like serious. Like they should take their job more seriously. They should be more professional. They should
Well,
behave more
yeah, if you're
ethical.
looking
But
at it in that scope,
yeah,
yes.
but like it's not like the end of the world. Like these are relatively small, as you say. Like
Yeah.
things so far, including the next two are relatively well. So there's also Patricia Hernandez, another writer for Kotaku, same company that Nathan Grayson works for. Uh,
Mhm.
she she writes articles about her friend Anna Anthropy and promotes her work, but they're
Mhm.
roommates in real life, and this wasn't disclosed either.
But that go it's patronage. Like it's what is it called? When you have someone and like when a president gets elected, right? He passes down the favors.
Hmm.
I forgot what the term is called, but
Nepotism?
not maybe nepotism. But it happens like everywhere. Like it's and people act like they wouldn't do the same thing. Let me tell you, if I like just got $1 billion and I was like the top streamer, this, you know how many people I would put on? Like it's normal, and the idea that nobody else, oh, I wouldn't do that, or oh, that's just unbelievable that they shut, you would do the same thing. It's just like it's hypocritical. Like anybody would do that in their position. Like yeah, I'm gonna put my friends on, I'm gonna put my people on. Like it's just what it is.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine to do that too. Like I just think that you just need to be more transparent and be like, hey, look,
Mhm.
this person whose article I'm writing this game about, or I'm promoting, or I'm writing a review of, I'm friends with this person, or I have a financial relationship, or whatever. Like just make sure the
But if they're
audience
writing
knows.
it, sorry, if they're writing it simply because they are talented and they deserve it, then why should that be introduced? It
I
should just be this person's talented.
Right, it could be like that he really did think that Quinn's game was so great that he wanted
Mm.
to promote it. Like that's entirely
Mm.
possible. Or that Anthropy, or that sorry, Hernandez could have thought that Anthropy's games were so great, or like hypothetical people, like it 100%. But I still think that because it's a potential conflict of interest, just like make the audience know. Like, and he doesn't have to make a big deal
Yeah.
out of it. Just put like a note saying, "Hey, look, this person, I'm friends with them," or "This is my roommate." You don't even have to be like super specific. Be like, "Hey, look, I have a
Yeah.
personal relationship." That's all you have to say. And I
Hmm.
think I think most people would be fine with that. Like most of the people I've talked to, at least, would be. Now, maybe you still get some people who are, angry because they're like, "Oh, well, fuck you, I'm an asshole, so I'm gonna attack you online." But like, I think most people would be pretty understanding. Like, if you just upfront about it, apologize, hey, look, my bad, I should have mentioned that, no big deal.
Why do people feel like they're owed that? Is it because they played the game and it was terrible, or they did whatever the article influenced them to do and they didn't like the outcome? Is that why?
So because they feel like it's, hang on, sorry, I'm gonna mute my phone. They feel like that journalistic standards would require them to like disclose potential conflicts of interest, just so that the
Okay.
reader is aware. Like especially since like it could be the case that you gave this game a 10 out of 10 because like it's your favorite game ever, or it could be the case
Mm.
that you gave it that because your friend made it, and like that. But like we don't know as the reader, and so just like let us know. Hey, look, I reviewed this game. I'm friends with this person,
Yeah.
and then they can make a decision for themselves. Do I still want to buy this game? Do I trust this review? And maybe they do. Maybe they're like, hey, look, this person's been honest, they've been upfront about it, so I don't take their word to
Mm.
be inherently wrong. And that does
Gotcha.
also like what like the SPJ, like the Society of Professional Journalists,
Mm.
like they would recommend like disclosure in cases like this.
Gotcha.
Just be
Okay. So
upfront.
it's the standard. It would be the standard for journalism.
Yeah. And it's gotten
Gotcha.
better, like that specific area with disclosure, like it's gotten better. Part of that's because of the FTC. I'm sure you've seen like with the streaming stuff that like if you take a paid promotion, you're supposed
You
to
have to,
inform.
yeah, you have, gotcha. Okay, now, okay, so that makes sense. Yes. Okay.
So that's one thing that has gotten better over time, thankfully.
Mm.
But then there was also one with Danielle Reindow, a Polygon writer who reviewed Gone Home, but was friends with the composer of the soundtrack. And she gave the game a 10 out of 10. And which, again, maybe that's the best game ever. She loved it. It's 10 out of 10. Fine. That's 100%. But it wasn't disclosed that she's friends with the soundtrack composer.
Okay, so what do you do in the case? Because like a lot of these communities are tight knit because you all have similar interests. Let's say there is like a company that everyone knows each other. All right, they all are friends privately, online, whatever it may be. What do you do in that case? You still got to disclose it, like
Hmm. I think so, yeah. just for the audience just so the audience is aware, I do that all the time with my streaming stuff. Like I'll bring people on who I like,
Mm.
who I'm like, well, I like a large number of people. I'm friends with very few people, um,
Mm.
but I'll bring people on. I'll disclose my conflicts of interest. I've had my real life friend on a couple times, Claw,
Mm.
and I'm just, hey, look, and I make it clear to the audience. And like there was
Gotcha.
recently, did you follow the progressive victories controversy?
No, I'm so sorry. No, I haven't.
Okay. It's I don't know how deep I want to get into this, or I don't know if you care about
Listen,
it,
you
but
have the floor. I'm learning a lot, and I'm actually enjoying this. So feel free to yap all you want.
okay. So you know a bunch of like live streamers like Counterpoints or um Wick TV.
I know Wick. I know
You know
Wick.
Wick?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Dylan Burns, a bunch of people are Brianna Wu, Destiny, Vosh, a bunch of people are associated with
Hmm.
Progressive Victory. It's a
Gotcha.
canvassing group. And so they're also one of the things that they do a lot of things. They do canvassing events where they try to like get people like in Ohio they did one. I don't
Hmm.
remember what the exact issues were that they were fighting for in that case. But they try to bring streamers and their audiences like together and bring them into real life. So you
Gotcha.
want to talk about politics online? Well, do something about it. Go volunteer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so it's helping
As it
do
should.
that. Yeah, I agree. I think they should too. But one of the things that they're doing is they're paying some of the live streamers money as like
Oh.
on top of like their normal ad revenue and all that stuff. But some of the streamers originally didn't disclose this, and so people found out and they were unhappy about it because they're like, well, hang on, how do I know that your political takes are genuine when you're getting
Yeah,
paid
and
by a
not just
progressive
an
group?
ad, basically. Yeah.
And initially, the people involved were a little bit hostile. The progressive victor people were. I'm not gonna like mention names
Mm.
because I think they did the right thing actually, but we can mention
Mm.
names if you want. Um, but they actually they so initially they were hostile. They're fighting the critics, and they're like, oh well, who cares? It's not that big of a deal. It's not that much money. It's only like $500 a month, or whatever. Um, it varies from streamer to streamer.
Yeah, it's still money though.
Yeah. So, but then they realized that actually we should just start disclosing it, and so they did, or at least a lot of them did, and the
Mm.
controversy basically went away because they did the right thing. But if they would have like
Gotcha.
kept with their initial hostile approach, it probably wouldn't have gone so great.
Okay, but let's say okay, so whatever side that is, the opposite side, I guarantee they were hostile too. It's just this thing is like, oh well, they were hostile. Okay, so were you? At what point do you stop giving them what they want? Whatever the fucking other group is, the one that judges people and is angry about all these things and finds something to be mad about and nitpicks and does all that. When do we stop giving them what they want? When? Where do we
Hmm.
cross? Where do we draw the boundary? When do we stop giving people what they want? Because
I
if we keep going, they're going to keep asking for more and more and more, and then suddenly we are going to end up where it's like whatever side, left, right, up, down, whatever, controls the entire fucking internet, and that's not fun.
if it's like a personal I think it depends on the type of critique you're getting. Um,
Hmm.
I think if people are approaching you but they have like a legitimate concern, even if they're being like kind of a dick about it, I think you should
Hmm.
still at least be
Oh no,
receptive
I'm
to hearing
sorry.
them out.
For me, if you have a problem with me and you act like a dick right off the bat, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable response, but unfortunately, I think that like as a creator,
Hmm.
I think like the better approach would be to just like hear out, but I also have like a very different personality too.
Hmm.
So, but like I feel like hearing them out and like trying to think about what's going to be best for like not just like what's right in the situation. I think it's like
Hmm.
just do the right thing. Basically, is always my advice to people. Um, so like if they're right and like you really should be disclosing that you got $500 from Progressive Victory or whatever, like
Hmm.
just disclose it. Like and yes, they approached you and they were kind of a dick about it. Some people did, and some people were polite too. Like I was polite when I talked to them, but you're always gonna have like some people on the internet I feel like who are gonna be jerks, and like do
Hmm.
you want to you don't want to cave into those people, like give them what they want, right? But
Exactly.
also you're gonna have people who aren't jerks too, and I think you just have to like just do the right thing, and like if the right thing
Hmm.
is disclosure, do it. But like if they're critiquing you because like oh I don't like your opinion, and like you're pretty convinced that you're right, and you've done a lot of research, and you're like you know what, no, I'm right on this, I'm not gonna change my mind, like that's 100% cool.
But right, here's the thing: the right for who? So let's have an analogy. Like, let's say I have an apple, right? And I'm trying to sell the apple. The apple is made by a company or produced by or manufactured, whatever you want to call it. It's an apple. It's an organic fruit. It's packaged by a company. Okay. they pay me extra to to eat the apple, right? We all know that apples are good. Like, let's just operate on the notion that apples are good, really tasty, right? Whether or not we know that I was paid for that advertisement, people are still going to buy that product because it's a good product. So I don't get why it matters, because then it's like people are going to find a reason to dislike the product because they know that it's an advertisement.
Right, but
Correct?
but the audience would know it's an advertisement in this case, right? In the hypothetical with the Apple.
Hmm. They would know, like with or without the disclosure, like it's still a good product. So I feel like people are gonna say, "Oh, well, it's an ad. I'm not gonna buy it because it's only like they're paying to show me this." When in reality, it's a good product. So honestly, I think without disclosing advertising, it works a lot better for the consumer and the producer.
Real, I. So when you say without disclosing, what do you mean?
Like letting them know, "Oh, I'm being paid to advertise this product."
See, I think
That's
that
just
that's
me.
required. I think. Well, I mean, it's legally, I guess, required, right, with the
Well,
FTC. But
I'm just saying that in the case of what you said, that people were mad that they didn't disclose that they were paid for this canvassing, is what I'm saying.
oh
So
no,
it's
not for the
like,
canvassing. They're paid. So sorry, I wasn't clear. I guess. The canvassing stuff's separate. So the money that they
oh,
get is so that they could attend a meeting. So it's money to attend a meeting, and in this meeting they talk about the kind of content they're going to create. But they say that they don't have any directives like, oh, you have to cover this story, don't cover that story. They say there's nothing like that going on.
did the meeting happen? Like, was it off stream?
It's
Was it
every week.
But it was it streamed? Yes or no?
No, I don't. Well,
Then who cares what they did in their private? Like, if they
I
got paid for
don't know if
something in
they might have streamed
private,
some of them, but because they're
then make go ahead.
well, sorry, no, go ahead.
It makes no sense to me. Why are people getting pissed off about meetings that people are having and they get paid to go to a meeting? Like, it doesn't, if there's no directives or no telling them you got to do this, then what does it fucking matter?
They
People are
do
just
offer
bitching about.
suggestions, though. They do offer
Okay,
suggested content.
you're suggested when you look at your computer screen. Everyone is suggested to do certain things. Living life, you're going to be suggested to do certain things. I don't get like the outrage over getting mad about someone going to a meeting.
Well, I don't
Like,
think
that's what I'm
it's
saying. They're
yeah, it's not a big deal that they do this. It's just their audience should probably know that hey, look, this progressive group is funding me on a regular basis to attend a weekly meeting, or just funding this content essentially in general. I
okay. I don't know how I feel about that. Hmm.
what why
It's
do
a
you
little weird.
push back on me? Um,
Well, it's because simply because like if I get paid to go to a meeting and I'm not streaming the meeting and it's talking about the kind of content I already do, there's not going to be much change. I'm already going to want to go to the meeting to even accept the money. Well, at least that's how I operate, because no amount of money can make me not could make me do certain things, right? Like, 'cause if it's not something I'm interested in, if it's not something that fits or aligns with my morals, I'm not going to fucking do it. No matter if it's $100, $1,000, $1,000,000, I don't care. Like, it's and I feel like I don't know. It just doesn't seem right that people are getting mad about people attending meetings and getting paid for it.
well, it's not the meetings;
It's
it's
like,
the disclosure. It's that they didn't tell people about it at
that's what I'm
first.
saying
Yeah.
though. They're getting paid to go to a meeting. They're getting mad because they got paid to go to a meeting and they're not telling people. That's literally the entire problem. You're getting mad that people are getting paid to go to a meeting in their private time. Correct? Yes or no?
Yes, but it's also relating to their streaming stuff.
Doesn't matter. It's still a private meeting that happened off stream.
I
It's not
I so
advertising. They shouldn't have to disclose anything.
I think they should have to disclose it. And like the Progressive Victory did decide to disclose it eventually. They did decide that that was the best course of action.
Well, they buckled. They buckled under the pressure. It
You wouldn't.
happens. No. They fucked. No.
You don't? Do you think there would be like an issue? So like, let's one of the people who works for Progressive Victory. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't think he did any. I think he did the right thing in the end. Oh, actually, fuck it. I'm not gonna say anything bad about him. I think the story reflects well on him. Counterpoints. You know him?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so he's Brianna Wu's podcast co-host, and he's a conservative who gets paid by
Gotcha.
Progressive Victory. Um, and we talked about this on stream. He's a conservative, but he's going to vote for the Democrats probably. Because he believes that Trump is he believes
Mhm.
that Trump has done things that make him unqualified for office. That's his opinion.
Well, of
So
all of our presidents.
so he wants to go against Trump and help the Progressive Victory people defeat Trump.
Mm.
But if another Republican won the primary, and it wasn't Trump as in the Republican Party, it was somebody else, then Counterpoints even said like I'd have to leave the organization probably because
Mm.
I can't actively work to support the Democrats if I'm going to vote for Ron DeSantis, let's say, or somebody like that.
Mm.
So
Interesting.
if that hypothetical series of events occurred, you have this a podcaster and streamer, Counterpoints, who's a conservative, being paid by a progressive group to help progressives defeat the Republican candidate, but then he personally would be voting for the Republican candidate. And it would put him in a really weird situation.
Gotcha.
And so, like, could somebody who was not saying he would do this, he says he wouldn't, but like, if somebody was in that situation, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? How could you trust that like what they're doing it? How could you trust that they're still endorsing them working for the Democrats because they're because of the money? How do you know that they're not doing it because of the money? Rather, sorry.
Gotcha. Well, I feel like anyone to get that deep to receive like compensation for whatever they believe politically, I feel it would be sound in their beliefs because like not gonna lie, it's a little monotonous and boring to talk about politics all the time and be involved in any of that stuff, which is why I choose not to because it's so like I couldn't do it. So I feel like, and this is just my opinion, that they would already be sound in their beliefs to not, just do something like that.
And I hope that would be true for most people, but obviously some people, I don't know, they might feel like, hey, look, this extra $500 a month or this 2,000.
Mhm.
There's different people. I don't know what the exact pay ratio is. I've heard 500
Mhm.
to like 5,000, so I don't know. Um, but like, let's say it's the lowest end. Someone who's like barely scraping by as a streamer, they might be like, hey, look, this $500, all I got to do is publicly endorse the Democratic Party and like maybe go to a couple meetings. Um,
Mhm.
it's worth it for me to do that, even though I personally don't believe in it.
Mm. Well, I'm nonpartisan, so it would work for me either way.
So there's also something else going on. There's like there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So
Mhm.
there's this chat room that some people create, some people from 4chan,
Mhm.
called Burgers and Fries. It's a chat room on Ryzen IRC. It's still around actually. And this chat room talks about the situation because the joke, the Burgers and Fries joke.
Mhm.
Um, so they talk about the situation. Um, I've gone through not like the entire logs, but like much of it, and including with people who are very much opposed to GamerGate. Um,
Mhm.
and there's definitely one part in particular that is concerning. There's one part where this guy, this anonymous user basically in the chat room, suggests that someone should dress up. People should dress up as like a costume, the Five Guys uniforms,
Mhm.
and go to this panel at a convention. He says that people should do this. He gets shot down on the idea. People were like, "Well, that's going to be actual harassment if you do that,"
Yeah,
which
it's
it
a
would
little
be, right? It
immature.
would be. That would be
Yeah,
that would be inappropriate for sure.
stupid.
Yeah, but nobody ended up doing it. But they talk about the situation. They talk about Quinn in a negative light,
Mhm.
and they also talk about like these sites like Kotaku and like Nathan Grayson in a negative light on this chat room.
Mhm.
And some people think that that's really inappropriate, especially because the burgers and fries. So the name of the chat room is burgers and fries, and some people say that that's
Mhm.
like slut shaming
Mhm.
because she slept with five people and they're making fun of.
Yeah, and if a guy does it, then it's completely fine.
So some people would
So
say that
yeah,
that
that
was slut
is.
shaming, though. The Aaron Joni, the guy who made the joke, he says that he doesn't believe in slut shaming. He's a progressive. He says that he believes in infidelity shaming. So that's what he says he made the joke for.
Um.
And he's like, I don't want anybody to slut shame. I just want people to infidelity shame. Or he didn't say he wants them to infidelity shame, but he's okay with it.
Wait, and is he a conservative?
He's a progressive. Or he was
He's
back then. I don't.
progressive. Oh, isn't polyamory considered a progressive like idea? So the fact that he's like, oh, if he's a progressive, he would be completely fine with her sleeping around. Because
Well,
that's what it is. That's what an open relationship is. You're fucking other people while you date somebody.
I don't think. I don't think they didn't have like a. Them personally didn't have an open relationship.
Oh, he just wanted one with her.
No, no. I don't know if they ever discussed it.
Mm.
I don't think that's mentioned. Actually, fuck it. I would check right now. I made detailed notes on the entire fucking thing, or almost all of it. Um, so yeah, let's find out. And I can send this to you too if you want.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm probably gonna send it on Discord message if that's all right.
Yeah, I just have to make sure that I don't leak anything.
So that's just sort of my internal note. Oh, upload failed. Here,
Too
I'll just throw it
big?
into a pastebin. It might be too big. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. Let's try it this way. Oh, maybe we have to be friends on Discord.
Oh, that could be it.
I sent you a friend request.
Mm.
Boom, there we go. Okay.
Awesome.
So
All right.
that's sort of like the personal timeline I've created of events relating to the Zoe Post specifically.
Gotcha. Holy, you really are in on this. Jesus, that's a lot.
Yeah, there's links and stuff too to back stuff up, where appropriate. Most of it's from the Zoe Post itself. It's a super long blog post. If you haven't gone to the URL, oh my gosh, it's insane. This is how long the blog post is. I'm gonna screen share on my end.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, this is what I'm talking about when I feel like people are just way too too deep. I mean, not you. Like you're doing it from like you're like writing, But like some people are so like caught up in all of it, and it's just like it just perpetuates this idea that you can be like that involved in something. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's no, I still have really mixed feelings about him like releasing this. Like I don't know, would I personally do this? Probably not. Like, but I don't know. I can also understand too, because you don't want to like silence victims, right? When people actually
Yeah,
are
true.
victimized, you don't want to be like, oh, you can't tell your story, like the Me Too
Yeah.
thing, right? Like, and some people have drawn that analogy too, that like, because like there's a lot of people who think that he was abused, and there's also people who think that she was too. Like, there's people on both sides, so
Yeah, there's going to be.
yeah.
Mm.
So, there's also this other controversy going on, like during the same 2 week period where you have these multiple conflicts of interest in games journalism. And then you also have the Burgers and Fries chat room, and the Zoe post, and the chat, and you have the Fine Young Capitalists. This is a group.
Mm.
They're like a group for women, to get women into game design, and so they have a contest. And this contest is to take the ideas of women. Like, women submit ideas. Actually, I've interviewed the person who won the contest. Her name is
Mm.
Danny, and she designed this game called Afterlife Empire. It's available on Steam actually. It came out. Um,
But is it backed by is it backed by Sweet Baby Inc? Because if it is, I'm not playing it.
No, it's not. It's this came out. This came out. Well, their campaign, the Finding Capitals, was in 2014. The game itself came out though in 2015, so about a year later.
Okay.
And so she won this contest, but before that, he got into a spat. The guy Matthew Rappert is his name. He got into a
Mhm.
spat with Quinn, and things didn't go so great. Um, Quinn supposedly, allegedly doxed him, like released his email address to the public apparently, and
Mm.
he claimed that oh no, sorry, she admitted to accidentally DDoSing his site, but it was an accident because she sent a lot of people to the site. They're
Mhm.
sharing it on social media, and she was like a semi-famous person, like an
Mhm.
influencer type, like not like a celeb, but like an influencer type at the time.
Gotcha.
So they had this like big spat, and then his campaign, the Find Young Capitals campaign, is successful. In part because people are like, well, hey, look, um, if you're gonna pick a fight with Matthew Rappert, this guy who's just trying to bring women into games, because they got into a fight because there was a misunderstanding about whether or not his campaign was pro-trans enough, because they allowed trans women to participate, but they said like you had to have transitioned or something prior to, you had to have like socially, I think, transitioned right
Yeah,
prior.
so people didn't take advantage of the.
Right.
Gotcha.
So you had to do it before like a certain deadline, and like they were saying that
Gotcha.
the deadline was transphobic to have.
But it makes sense because what if there are people that will and are not ashamed advantage of the whole, social feelings towards trans people? Because like let's be honest, they get a lot of special treatment. I mean, we've seen it. Okay, uh, I think that people would very much take advantage of that. So the deadline was makes sense to me. I don't like it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if like how you'd phrase it necessarily like on the website, like because I think that was like
Mm.
part of the problem was like they were mad about the phrasing. They're just
Mm.
disappointed about the phrasing. Her and actually one of the Sweet Baby Inc. employees who was going to come up later on, I
Oh,
guess. But her
nice.
and sorry, Felix Kramer, um, they they both um, they both were really critical of Matt, and then he was critical with them
Mm.
too, and they had it was a whole thing. So like he did like he went on like he made a SoundCloud thing trying to explain his point of view,
Hmm.
and her and her friend Felix tweeted about it, and supposedly shared his email address. Now I've seen screenshots of the docs supposedly, but they blur out
Hmm.
the stuff, so I assume the screenshot's legit because it came from the Airplay documentary, which is a pretty
Mm.
good source, I feel.
Gotcha.
And I did not dead name chat saying I'm dead named her, but because I think she goes by both. She goes by Maya Felix Kramer. Like on her official like stuff, she goes by both names still.
Mm.
Um, so there's that controversy. This is all within the 2 week period, and then Adam Baldwin, the actor,
Hmm.
he tweets out um, hashtag GamerGate, and he shares a video from this YouTuber called Internet Aristocrat, now known as Mr. Medicare, and he
Mm.
shares this video. It's going over the ethics controversies that are happening at the time, and this whole like cluster fuck that's been happening in games journalism. So he makes a series of
Gotcha.
videos on that. Adam Baldwin, the actor, tweets out hashtag GamerGate um, on August 27th. So this is the 27th, and then the next day, the 28th, is when like all hell breaks loose. So it's like all still like relatively like kind of minor stuff at this point. Um,
Gotcha.
but then the Gamers Are Dead articles, Gamers Are Dead, that's what some people call them, articles came out. I
Mm.
can link you these too if you want.
Sure. I guess I feel like it takes a turn when like an actual celebrity like kind of gets involved in it.
Well, that's what Savvy Lizer, she's a YouTuber.
Mm.
Savvy Writes Books is her channel. She actually talks about that too. That having a celebrity talk about it amplified it. She thinks,
Hmm.
or she
So it's
didn't say that
his fault. So
specifically
it's
about.
his fault.
Well, no, because it's still I think relatively minor on that first day. It's just like
Mm.
the next day that things blow up because of these articles. This is like a list of them. Like the two most controversial ones. So basically, 10 articles come out on the same day. Um, and they all seem to have a very similar kind of theme of calling for an end to the gamer identity, and that they view the gamer identity as being possibly toxic. It's something that we should be moved
Mm.
away from. So like that's Leah Alexander's article I linked to you, and there's also Devin Wilson's article, and some of like Devin Wilson in his article. Oh, so Leah Alexander, she does a whole bunch of um, she makes like as you can see, it's like a very hostile article. I often
Mm.
say I'm a video games culture writer, but lately I don't know. Sorry, I'll screen share this for the audience too. That way, I'll just read like a couple paragraphs if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I guess I won't be screen sharing it because Firefox is not like archives. But I often say I'm a video games culture writer, but I don't know exactly what that means. Game culture as we know it is kind of embarrassing. It's not even culture. It's buying things, speckling over memes and in jokes repeatedly, and it's getting mad on the internet. It's young men
True.
queuing with. Sorry?
Sorry, I was making. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's young men queuing with plush mushroom hats and backpacks and jutting promo poster rolls, queuing passionately for hours at events around the world to see things that marketers want them to see, to find out whether they should buy things or not. They don't know how to dress or behave. Television cameras pan across these listless queues and often catch the expression of people who don't quite know why they themselves are standing there. Games culture is a petri dish of people who know so little about human social interaction in professional life. Sorry, about how human social interaction in professional life works, that they can concoct online wars about social justice in games, journalism, ethics, straight-faced because and cause genuine human consequences because of video games. And then she goes on to for several more paragraphs. So a bit of a
Interesting.
hostile approach in the
Yeah.
article. And then Devin Wilson's article, which I think I linked you to, did I not? Oh, I did not, sorry. But in that one here, he talks about how they need to change the way the games themselves are made, which is kind of controversial. Like he wants
Wait,
them.
so sorry, go ahead. Go
Go,
ahead.
go, no, God.
I just don't know why we all want to blame video games for that. Like everyone tries to blame video games for all the problems we have. It's not the fucking video games. It's the people playing the video games. It's kind of like saying, "Oh, guns are the problem." It's not guns, it's the people. We want to put the blame onto inanimate objects and things just existing, and I don't get that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, Wilson does blame the games. He thinks that the games themselves that they promote that they're too violent. He talks about violence and also sexism too, that they're too sexist in his view. Um, and so like he has 18 rules that he wants game developers to follow.
Oh, let's hear them. Let's hear
Oh,
these rules.
all right, all right. Number one, we don't wait. We don't. Some of these are like these are about a paragraph for each, but I won't read all. I'll read all the top line
You
ones, I
can read all of
guess.
them. I want to hear them.
All right. Rule number one: we don't wait. We don't wait until after that big, exciting sequel is out. We don't wait until after E3, GDC, or PAX. We don't wait until we finish this game we've been investing hours into, or until after we unlock that new assault rifle. We don't wait for other people to fix this. There's just going to be another E3 and another newly announced game and another excuse to not look at the present state of games culture. This industry has been distracting us with carrots and sticks since its inception, repeatedly pulling the rug out from under us before we could even orient get oriented in the first place. There's always been a promise of something better around the corner, so we don't bother examining or acting on what's right in front of us. But we must examine ourselves and act right now. We've been doing far too much waiting in games. We need to raise our expectations and stop waiting for the medium to mature. It's 2014. The first generation of consoles was decades ago. The only reason for games to be immature is if its customers and producers allow them to be that way. The people who have decided to terrorize this medium aren't waiting around, so we shouldn't either. And he's presumably referring to the people who were criticizing the games journalists and the Nathan Grayson Zoe Quinn situation, presumably. That's like a
Do you think
central. So go ahead.
do you think people like this have like a savior complex? Because like who appointed this man to speak? Like who gave him his little platform to be like, yo, this is what needs to happen and this is why? Like it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just literally feels like it feels inauthentic. It sounds like some man has a savior complex and he's like, oh, this is what we need to do to video games. I'm sorry, but any games he produces, I don't want to play because it sounds boring.
Oh, that's just rule one. Just wait.
Oh, great, it's better,
we
lovely.
Rule two. We listen to those who are less privileged than we are, and we don't adopt a default stance of skepticism towards their views or claims. We support them when we have the power to. We involve them when we have the power to, and we don't ignore it when institutions fail to do these things. We each proudly claim the label of we each proudly claim the label of quote social justice warrior unquote, if only to subvert its use as a pejorative. We do whatever we can to learn about the inequalities in the world, and we examine what we can do to change things for the better. I don't.
Equality doesn't exist. There's always going to be inequality. I like that rule. That makes sense to me because like I've been a part of the less fortunate, all right? I get that. And I agree with that. But inequality is going to always exist. You fix one inequality, there's going to be another one that arises. It's a fact of life. And I don't think I understand talking about it and coming up with solutions and trying to fix it, but like you can't like it will always be a problem. If we fix this one thing, what's going to happen next? It's going to always be a problem. So I think they're looking at the wrong source. I don't think it's the video game. I don't think it's, the developer's problem. I don't. I think it's simply either an internal issue because you can choose how you react to things, right? Like you can choose to get upset about things, right? So it's either an internal issue or a mental illness issue, which I like the video game has nothing to do with it. It's just a video game. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree.
And also I don't liken it to like, okay, if you want to say that video games are dangerous and violent, I wouldn't say as violent as like snuff, growing up, like something common that I
Uh, hello?
have a like more of an effect on people's like mental and like violence in America and like how it affects people compared to video games.
I'm sorry, you cut out slightly. You said snuff, and then it cut out.
Oh, I was just talking about how anyway, it didn't matter. Moving on. It was pointless.
All right, so I'm not opposed to like listening to people who are like quote unquote less privileged than me. I don't like use that kind of language
Mm,
usually. But like I do actually when I see injustices occur, I do think that I want to try and speak out against them and try to do what I can to help. I
mm,
though obviously I think this whole you should proudly call yourself a social justice warrior, quote unquote. I don't that seems kind of cringe.
yeah.
But like I'm all for uplifting people who actually are being tread down upon. Um, I try to at least.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these people have. I feel some of them I feel come from a good place, right? It's just the execution of what they want done. Like the whole social justice warrior thing. Like they have like good thoughts, but the way they go about it is completely wrong, which leads people like me to discredit them and not listen to them. Because like I said, if you want change to happen, you can't sit here and be angry and yell and do all this grandstanding and all this performative stuff. Like just there's other ways to do it. And really, if you just think about it, let's say one person minds their own business and does right, another person will see that they'll do it too. Like it's really about personal responsibility instead of like cultural or social responsibility as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I agree to like a large degree, I think. But there's also, do we have no social responsibilities?
Mm, I mean, if you see something wrong, if you see someone doing something wrong to someone, like actually hurting someone or like mistreating someone, yes, stand up, speak up, handle it. But I'm like, when it comes to like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do this. There's no we. There is no we. It's your personal responsibility. If you don't like the way something's being done, you handle how you react to it. You don't be a part of it. Don't be a person that feeds into it. Don't give it energy. Don't give it attention. Don't buy the game. Don't do this. Don't do like you can't control everyone else. People are going to do what they want because I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop playing video games. I love video games. I love GTA. I love shooting people. I love stealing cars. It's fun. I'm sorry, it's fun. But also, I can tell the difference. It's not real life. I would never do something like that in real life. And I think that they're trying to overgeneralize it. It's not everyone.
Yeah, and like
It's actual mentally ill people playing the video games that cause the problems.
and I don't yeah, and I don't even know how much of a problem like I don't think that like the people who like Columbine, like the killers who played Doom,
Mhm.
I don't think that like Doom made them do that. Like even though if they were
No,
crazy
if
beforehand.
Doom didn't exist, they would have still done it.
Yeah.
They still would have done it.
But also like we listen to those who are less privileged than we are. He says this like in the context of like a list of rules for game developers, or I guess a guide for indie gamers technically. But
Well, then he needs to go start his own fucking game development company and he'd do it then if he really
base.
wants to make a difference. Because I'm telling you, that's what would make that's what would make a change. No, like you said, well, ago, don't just stop at the internet. Go out and actually do something. Make your own game developing company. Follow those rules and let's see how it goes. And if it inspires change, it inspires change, and people will follow suit. That's how you do it.
Absolutely, I like people who do things. We display broader in rule number 3. We display broader interests as individuals who make and play games. We spend more time learning about the world beyond this industry. We put more effort into making games about things other than what we've already seen in games. A parent
That's
re Sorry.
that I agree with. Games are boring as of late.
Yeah, I'm all for making a greater diversity of games, so I'm actually we might be in agreement with rule 3 so far. Apparent sources of inspiration for games are getting suffocatingly narrow because people are increasingly likely to ignore all of the things outside of their window when they decide to make a game. There's a lot of fascinating, beautiful, and horrifying stuff going on out there, and it's more important to understand that than indulge in yet another escapist fantasy universe.
Mm.
Yeah.
I agree with him at the beginning, but still, it's like you're like telling people what they should do, and that never works out well. Like you can't blame people for not wanting to just like if someone plays a game, maybe they just want to enjoy the game. They don't care about where it came from. They don't care about who made it. They don't care about the ideology behind it. They're just playing it for the game, which is what I do. When I play video games, I don't do the research. I don't care who made it. I don't care. I enjoy the game. The game looks exciting. I'm going to play the game. End of story.
Yeah, I was also with him too in the beginning, and then unfortunately, like you said, he's trying to like dictate almost like what people can
Mm.
do, like rather than indulge, understand that than indulge in yet another escapist fantasy universe. Well, there's a role for the escapism stuff too. Like you can make your own different types of new, unique types of game. That's great,
Mhm.
but like there's also still a role, and a lot of people who are interested in like the escapism stuff who don't, like you said, like who don't like, oh no, I need to do this because of like this really specific artistic reason I want to play this game.
Mhm.
It's like no, they just the game looks fun to them, or their friends
Yeah.
play it, or whatever. They saw a
Yeah.
streamer play it. They saw Merc play it.
But yeah, I just I don't to me it doesn't make sense because I feel like a lot of people make things too serious. Like just enjoy the game. And to me it literally sounds like Debbie Downers. Like you make everything boring. Like just enjoy the game, play the game, sit down, shut up, have fun. People don't know how to have fun. That's literally what it is.
Well, and that is, I mean, that's a really great point because like I think it seems like a lot of this, most of his list really, it's because he has this, he feels like they have this social responsibility, and like
Mm,
that I guess takes precedent over like just the fun aspect.
yeah.
But which like that's fine if you have that perspective as part of like your personal worldview, but like that taking precedent over games being fun is obviously going to be a controversial idea.
Yeah. Because like 10 times out of 10, someone's not gonna play a game because oh, there's a non-binary character and like it's a
Fucking
story about
pronouns.
bro. I want to play a fucking game. I want to drive a car. I want to shoot something. I want to see something explode. I want to go ride a horse into the mountains and use my shouts. I don't care. Like I don't care. I really don't. Like I don't get why everyone is expecting outrage over video games. Just play the game. I mean, video games themselves are an art, but it's not like to me it's not an art that should be analyzed or like picked apart. Like it's face value. Enjoy the game, play the game, have fun. That's what video games are for. It's not escapism. It's having fun. Just like if you were to go to a baseball game, sure, there's like analytics and like you can, look at stats and stuff for baseball, but what is baseball for? It's a pastime. That's what a pastime is. Have fun. It's not supposed to be work. It's not supposed to be, boring. It's not supposed to be all this stuff. It's a pastime. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to play it and enjoy it, and that's all it is.
Well, you say that video games are art, and you view them as that too. But don't you think it's important then, like if it is a work of art, shouldn't they be
Mhm.
analyzed on a more critical level?
No, visually, something can be artistic visually. Like it's a beautiful game, or it's like you can acknowledge that it does take a lot of work to make a video game, but it should stop there because the more you start to nitpick, you're gonna find things wrong with it. You're gonna like, or your biases are gonna show, and you're gonna be like, oh, I don't like this because I'm a part of this community, and this is why I have a problem with it. Like it's supposed to be face value. Just play the game and have fun.
Well, I don't
Just
think I agree actually. I think that I mean I think that that's one way to interact with games. I do that too a lot. But like I
mm,
think there can be value in exploring more deep artistic themes. Like for instance, like Metal Gear Solid like has a very strong like anti-war message.
mm,
I think that like
sure,
exploring that throughout the artistic medium of games is it
sure.
can be interesting too.
But sure, you can do that, but you can't blame the entire majority for not wanting to do that because I'm sorry, from what I hear, it's only the political small group of the internet that's doing that.
Well, and
I think
I
we just
think go ahead.
go ahead.
I think that the that it's fine if they do that. They just have to allow
Mm,
for a diversity of views. And so like you can have
mm,
like the feminist analysis, you can have the
mm.
conservative analysis, the Christian analysis, the Muslim analysis, the Marxist analysis. Have all of this.
Sure,
And then
sure,
like have them if you don't like that website, just don't go to that website. And like let the
sure,
consumer decide for themselves. Like that's what I kind of want.
sure. But like I said, leave the majority alone that actually doesn't care, just wants to have fun and play a video game. Like they're the outrage that you're not like that. That's what bothers me. It's like, oh, how could you not analyze it? How could you not like be critical? Because I don't care. Because I just want to play the game, dude. So I think that we should respect people who just want to play the games.
I think so too. Like that's their 100% their choice. They don't have to. They don't have to take your Marxist analysis of video games. Rule number 4: we make and play fewer isolating games, including online multiplayer games. If our medium is designed for people to stay secluded for dozens of hours while having their egos stroked, then we reap what we sow in terms of the kinds of people who emerge from this pastime. We need to consider the very real possibility that offensive behavior displayed by gamers in recent weeks is not unrelated to the artifacts they rally around, which I doubt are especially obscure. These people didn't come out of nowhere to fight about nothing. They came from games to fight about games. They're organic results of the medium. We've all played a role in cultivating, and they won't go away if the medium doesn't change significantly.
I hope he has a solution at the end of all these rules for what he plans on doing or like what he wants to see happen because I'm hearing a whole lot of, oh, do this, do this, do this, but no solutions.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's like, well, yeah, that's right. He's just like he's like diagnosing a problem but not solving it. Which like there can be value in that maybe, but at some point it's nice to see solutions. Though I don't think I'd agree with many of his.
Yeah, like I said, it just seems like he's very like controlling and it comes from a savior complex.
Shall we read
Like he's
more of?
grandstanding himself. It's ironic that he says, "Oh, it's stroking the video gamers are the gamers are being having their ego stroked," but yet this is exactly what he's doing for himself. Like he's getting all these people to rally behind him, I'm sure, and it's like, oh, we got to do this. We got to be the champion of video games. We get like that's your ego is definitely stroked, even if you don't want to admit it. Anyone who does something like this, especially like like all this politics stuff, like they get a good feeling from it because they're they're being bolstered up on a platform. You know, they're getting all this attention. They're doing something that they think everyone needs to have done. So I don't know. I just when people talk like this, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right, and it seems like well, like yeah, like he's like why are you making rules for game
Yeah.
developers? Like you're a guy who writes for a website. Like what are you doing? No, this is a website for game developers though.
Mhm.
It is marketed towards that demographic, I should say. Um,
Okay, well then there's a context I needed. That makes
yeah.
sense. No, it does make sense. But still, okay, instead of writing for game developers, be a game developer.
Yeah,
Be the
and
one that makes
maybe
a change.
well, actually, let's just Google him real quick. Devin Wilson. I've Googled him many times, for many other reasons. I'm pretty sure he never made any games, but I could be wrong, unless he made some super small indie thing.
Mm.
I don't. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't see anything immediately coming up. So,
Hmm.
all right. Do you want to continue the list, or do you want to? It's up to you.
Are there any other good, interesting ones?
Oh,
Because
let's see.
it's kind of laughable, not gonna lie.
Uh, oh, the next one's kind of spicy.
Okay.
Number 5. We become far more mindful of the games we make and play. Sexism in games is pervasive and toxic. Racism in games is pervasive and toxic. Violence in games is pervasive and toxic. Despite the skepticism, the games press shows at every opportunity, it really looks like violent video games do make us more aggressive and less empathetic. If researchers are repeatedly suggesting this, then we com- then we complain that the vilest people in our communities are too aggressive and not empathetic enough. Aren't we partially to blame for our general eagerness to make and play games that have these overall effects on people? If you think you're not affected, you're sorely mistaken, and you sound no less ridiculous than people who claim that advertising doesn't work on them. By the way, kids are regularly playing violent video games too, because that's what our culture says is expected of, quote, real gamers, unquote. ESRB ratings are pretty useless.
So in his mind, what is a perfect like what would a perfect gamer be? Like what games is he referring to? Like I'm sure like GTA stuff like that, right? Like FPS games, right? But like what would a perfect video game be in his mind? Like
Well,
it makes no sense.
well, there's a reason he's writing about them instead of making them.
Oh, I guess.
Oh,
Like it
but
just doesn't make sense.
we maintain a critical eye towards esports, the esports scene, and its accompanying machismo. We've been trying to make, but the rest of it's not really that interesting, I don't think. But esports, he goes after, or the machismo of esports, technically, he goes
Mm.
after.
So it's so esports are too manly. is what that means, right?
Yeah.
Like,
He has a whole paragraph. We can read it if you want, but
I feel like this guy is actually chronically online because if I were to say anything, I think like football, rugby, any like contact sports, probably their machismo is more of a problem than an esports team. Because look at any of the fucking Valorant teams. Look at all, they're all nerds. They don't talk to women. They sit on the internet. They stream all the time. Like, what machismo? I don't get it. Makes no sense.
well, like they would probably like I'm not gonna speak for Wilson. I don't know all of his views, but like I've spoken with Ninetales. I don't know if you know her. She's a streamer.
Yeah.
Like her whole thing is that she thinks that like the GamerGate stuff and like the games industry and like all this stuff, like a lot of it can be best understood through understanding toxic male technocultures. Um, but I still don't know what a toxic male technoculture is, and I don't think that whatever that is the answer to the problem.
And
But
also
I
women
will.
are just as toxic in video games as men are. Especially if it's like a good player and it's a woman, like I've seen it multiple times. Like they act just as toxic. So it's not a matter of male or female. It's anyone. I think it's just being a good at a video game and being cocky and arrogant.
He's got a couple about fun. We stop upholding fun as the universal ultimate criteria for a game's relevance. It's a meaningless ideal at best and a poisonous priority at worst. Fun is a neurological trick. Plenty of categorically unhealthy things are fun. He puts fun in quotes, by the way.
He
Let's
hates
try.
fun.
Let's try for something more. Many of the alternatives will have similarly fuzzy definitions, but let's aspire to qualities like edifying, healing, pro-social, or even enlightening.
Has he
I
read a book? Just read a fucking book. If you want to read a book, there's plenty of books out there that give you that. But guess what? People want to play games because it's not a book. They don't want to learn. They want to have fun. I don't care. What the hell?
he
That's
even
crazy.
he even boldly says, "I encourage you to decide upon your own alternatives to quote fun unquote in games, while avoiding terms like cool and awesome and any other word that simply caters to existing unexamined biases."
So yeah, basically he is the fun police. He's
He
just
is
mad
the
that people
fun
are having
police.
fun.
But
Oh
he's
my
got a whole
god.
other rule about fun too. So Rule 12. He really doesn't like fun. Rule 12 is we don't afford any credence to the idea that games are, quote, just for fun, unquote. Games are not neutral. Anita Sarkeesian is not imposing her feminist values upon games. She's identifying the misogynistic values that game developers have sometimes unwittingly incorporated into games. You don't have to think her efforts are perfect, but what she's doing is not inappropriate. Discovering the values expressed by games is a responsible thing to do. Discouraging that practice is cowardly. We need to regularly compare our game's expressed values to our own real values. In the end, we may arrive at different conclusions about what different games mean, but we need to stop asserting that they are meaningless.
Here's the thing, like the only way to because like no, like I said, the only way to like solve these issues he's talking about in my mind would be to completely just outlaw games, prohibit them. Because there's no way that you are going to get the entire gaming universe on board with these bullshit rules. Like that makes no sense. Like who wants to sit here and say, "Oh, I'm going to play this video game because I need to analyze it and I need to learn something and I need to, hire my thinking." No, I want to sit here and have fun. Like I don't it makes no sense to me. It's laughable. I don't like why does and there's people on board with this, right? There has
Uh,
to be.
well, yeah, I mean, there's arguably, I think maybe he's maybe a little bit more on the extreme end, but there are people like who are have similar views.
Oh my god.
He might be a bit more on the extreme end, though.
Yeah.
Um, I think he is a bit more, slightly more on the extreme end.
So was he the actual he's what started all this?
Well, him and so there were. This is just one article. There were 9 others on the same day that came out, and then there were 8, I think it was, additional articles over the next several days. So there were 18 articles that came out, all saying this, all saying stuff like this. Though his was the most extreme of the articles.
Too much time on their hand. They should play a video game.
They should. They also, I guess, there's only He also says, Rule 17, we agree that caring about the world and its inhabitants is more important than clinging to our toys.
Yeah, that's a great and noble idea if we can get everyone on board with it, but I'm sorry, no, no. It's not possible because I'm pretty sure it's instinctual in human nature to look out for yourself first. Like we don't have some pack mentality outside of our family. It's not gonna be like that.
Do you have anything else on the list that you wanted to go over before we move on to the next segment?
No, I'm just like I said, I just think that whole article was just it was really laughable. It's funny. It's a great idea, but it's not gonna ever be executed. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. So this blows up. People are not happy about these articles happening, all coming out at the same time. And it seems like they're casting gamers with a broad brush. A lot of people say that they're
Mm,
portraying people, like gamers, as a negative light because of the actions of a few bad individuals. We shouldn't blame an
mm,
entire group of people based on the actions of a small group, basically, a small number of
exactly.
them.
I agree with that.
So then um, there's this GameJournoPros list that comes out in September. Well, it doesn't. It's revealed in September of 2014. GameJournoPros, about 150 games journalists were on a mailing group, like a emailing chain,
Mm,
in communication with each other. And this was revealed. One of the people leaked it. One of the people involved did. William
mm,
Usher, I believe it was. He leaked it out, and he leaked it to Milo Yiannopoulos at Breitbart, actually. So Breitbart runs with the story first about that. And the mailing list, it doesn't show them coordinating those articles. So the Gamers Are Dead articles, there's no evidence of coordination there. But they do talk about how they want to censor stuff on the
mm,
Escapist forums. Some of the other games journalists try to encourage Greg Tito, the editor in chief of the Escapist, to censor his forums because he's allowing discussion of the ongoing controversy.
mm.
They didn't like that. They thought it was something that should be shut down. Um, and then they also talk about there's also some other incidents too, like Alistair Pensoff. He's a games journalist. He ended up like exposing that this game developer who was raising money was using it for her surgery, their trans surgery, and but like she didn't make that clear to the people what she was raising the money for. I don't know all the
Okay.
details of that case necessarily, but they didn't like the way he handled that situation, so they encouraged people not to work with him anymore on the
Mm,
list, and they also encourage people not to work with a game developer too. Though I don't know the full details of why they were mad at that one game developer, because they didn't even say in the email exchange. They just say, "Fuck this guy, never work with him again," or something
yeah.
like to that effect. So
Well,
that
that makes
comes out,
sense.
and people are like, "Oh well, why are all these people on different websites talking to each other, talking about who they should censor, talking about who should work in games journalism and who they should promote as a developer?" It seems kind of inappropriate to be having those kind of conversations in this way. And then some people think it's inappropriate just to have the list at all.
Mm.
I don't know if I'd agree with that. There's diverse views on that, but definitely to do the specific things that they did.
Yeah, I don't like it makes sense. Well, that goes back to the like disclosing what you're getting paid for, right? That person should have disclosed that, yo, I mean, what, and that's different than what that meeting thing. Because let me tell you, if giving you their money, like they have a right to know what it's being used for. So if like they are not telling people, then and they're thinking that they're giving you money for something else, and then it's completely different. Yeah, of
Well,
course, there's going to be outrage.
there wasn't money in the game. Oh, sorry. You meant the Alistair Pensoff thing. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
it doesn't
don't.
make.
Yeah, I don't know all the details on that case because I probably should have looked that up. But there's so much to this story. I sent you
Yeah,
the
there's a
outline. You
lot.
saw. Um, and then so people are wanting to know what to do about these gamers are dead articles, about the issues that they're having with the corruption in the what they see as being corruption in the games
Mm,
press. Um, so there's Operation Disrespectful Nod, where this is an email campaign where a lot of the people who were upset about the gamers are dead articles or upset about the ethical violations that they saw, they contacted the advertisers of these websites and they convinced the advertisers to pull out because they were like, "Oh, hey, look, this website has got these ethical questions." And then in one case, one of the websites, Gawker, one of the ones they really
mm,
hated, they one of their writers was pro bullying, and he talked about bullying GamerGate supporters
Bring
and
back bullying.
bring back. That was it. That was literally it. Bring back
Yeah,
bullying. You saw that?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I
so
mean, fair.
so
I'm kidding.
yeah, that cost them a lot of money.
Mm,
So because they were like, well, look, because they weren't coming to the table to negotiate really and talk.
hmm
Stephen Totillo, the editor in chief of Kotaku, he was originally somewhat open to the idea, but I think he got criticism from other people like on his quote unquote side,
mm,
and so he kind of backed off completely. Because like two camps were forming at this point. There was like the pro Gamergate camp, which are the people who thought that, hey, look, this is a very serious ethical issue we need to talk about, and then there's the anti Gamergate camp, and they both of these camps had like a diverse array of views to some extent, but
mm,
like they thought it was more about harassment. That this harassment story that the Gamergate people, the people in the first camp, the pro Gamergaters, they thought that they were engaging in widespread harassment or encouraging
mm.
others to do so.
I don't know. I see that's the thing. I have a problem with like when people are like, "Oh, you encourage people to do this." Yeah, I feel like you can't be held responsible unless like you like explicitly say like, "Yo, do this." You know what I'm saying? So I think speaking for them, like I don't agree with that. Like they don't influence anyone to like do some type of thing and they can't be held responsible or liable for that. So,
Yeah, I agree. Unless like I mean, I think I guess as a content creator, I have like some responsibility. Like if I knew somebody in my audience, like one of my moderators especially,
mm. Oh
was like
yeah.
doxing people. It's like
Yeah,
obviously you
well,
got to cut ties with
yeah,
them, right? But
yeah.
like,
No.
if I like if one of my followers or one of your followers or like one, especially when you have like millions of people, like one of your fans like
Mhm.
sends like a really mean message on Twitter, like whatever, like it's not my not much I can do about that.
Yeah, but also too, like I get it in somewhat of a sense because like if we take like let's take the Aiden loyals, right? Aiden's super sick, great streamer, love him, whatever. But like there has to be a reason why his fan base feels so comfortable doing things like that. So it's like you really got to look at the creator, and I feel like in some cases I've heard people say it before, and I do somewhat agree with it. Like your chat is a reflection of the streamer. So like if people are out there doing that, then there's a reason why they. So in a way, yeah, you're not held liable, you're not held responsible, but there's a reason they feel so comfortable doing it.
Well, didn't Aiden just try and like either encourage or like his supporters to dox Destiny or something? I saw something about this.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did. I think his fan base took it upon themselves to do
Okay,
it.
without
Yeah.
his okay, but still, they
Yeah,
shouldn't do that,
no, he
obviously.
wouldn't. No. But also he made a great point. He's like, okay, I sit here and tell people not to do something. It's gonna make them do it even more. If I don't say anything, people are gonna think that, it's really hard for like large streamers like that to kind of like catch a break when it comes to things like that because they're gonna be blamed for everything. When in reality, it's their chat. It's the people who watch them who are insane.
Is like have is them what can be done? Like if you did to say, hey, look, I'm gonna ban anybody who I catch doing this, like which is what I do, I guess. Not that I've had to do it yet, but um, if somebody in my chat, if I know that this person's like doxing people, like if after the stream you got doxed by somebody in my chat, they're 1,000% gone.
Yeah. Well, honestly, in my case, like if someone is doing something like that with me, like banning's virtually useless because you can make alt accounts, okay?
Mhm.
Sure, banning will dissuade them from continuing doing it, but there's no guarantee that they will stop. So, like, yeah, as far as like covering your own ass, 100% ban. Sure, ban them. So then you can say, "Oh, look, I banned the user. I did what I could." Other than that, like, there's not much you can do because people are in control of their own bodies, minds, mouths, hands, whatever it may be.
So people in my chat are saying that supposedly, again, I don't know the story too closely. Supposedly Aiden said good when he found out that some of the people were doxing.
Well, I would have to see the
But I'd
like
have to see
actual
the
clips
evidence of
and
this too.
evidence.
But
Yeah, so we don't know. We don't know.
yeah,
So we can't take it for
I
like,
thought you might know.
you
That's why I
know.
brought it up. But
Oh, no, 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 no.
all right. So then, do you know Brianna Wu?
I've heard of her.
So she enters the fray in September of 2014, actually. So she says, well, she enters the fray first by she's a game developer. She made a game called
Uh-huh.
Revolution 60, mobile game, um, and then it got ported to PC later on.
Mm.
And so she says that Well, let's start with like what. So I'll just send you the timeline on Brianna Wu real quick, and then we can go over some of that. Okay?
Okay.
I don't want to. I want to be very careful how I talk about this.
Why is she evil?
No, she's not evil. She's made some mistakes.
Bitchy?
Yeah. Is she what? Bitchy?
Yeah, bitchy.
Some
Sorry.
people might call her that. Like I don't use. I would just say that she's dishonest in some ways.
My verbiage is very like lowbrow, so forgive me if I'm coming across too harsh or blunt. I don't like the idea of like beating around the bush. Just say what you mean, what you
Okay,
say.
fine. Brianna Wu probably faked her harassment, almost certainly.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so she starts by creating this troll account in September. Actually, so let's go through the timeline here. I sent you on Teams, or I sent you on Discord. Sorry. Um, Brianna Wu timeline. All right, so it's where it first becomes relevant is September. September 16, 2014, Brianna announces that she's going to be speaking at a panel at New York Comic Con. Then 2 days later, on September 18th, 2014, Brianna Wu uses the BroLulz troll account where she pretends to be a GamerGate supporter. It's a sock puppet account of hers. And she tries to make the GamerGaters look bad, but she says it's satire. So 2 days after she uses that account for the first, so hang on, sorry, I skipped one. September 2018, she makes the BroLulz troll account. September 18th, the same day, she does a media interview with GameSauce, where she says that she works from home. Then on September 20th, she admits that the BroLulz troll account was hers. So she admits that she used the sock puppet account to troll the
Mm.
GamerGaters, and she says it's satire. So she's trying to troll the pro GamerGate side in that case. Um, and then I think it was October 10th, this Twitter user pops up called Death to Brianna Wu, and it's got 3 followers, and it threatens Wu. It claims to have her address, and it links to an address, presumably hers. I don't know, um,
Mm.
but I assume it would be her address. So then Brianna says the police came by. My husband and I are going somewhere safe. Remember, GamerGate isn't about attacking women, she says. Um, then she says she fled her home on the 10th, and the next day, on October 11th, she wants to meet with Adam Baldwin, the person who coined the hashtag for the first time. Uh,
Mm.
the actor. She wants to meet and have coffee with him at New York Comic Con. Then the next day, on October 12th, she was going to go on Milo Yiannopoulos' show. He was a Breitbart writer, kind of an asshole. Um, but that kind of falls through.
Mm.
But during this period of time, she says that she was homeless, and she also wants to hang out with people at New York Comic Con. So she did end up going to New York Comic Con. Um, we now have her saying that weeks in advance. We've got
Mm.
her saying that she wants to meet with Adam Baldwin there. After the death threat on Twitter from the Death of Brianna Wu account and the docs after that. And then she also says that she wants to hang out with people at New York Comic Con. So she did
So
go to New York Comic Con.
what's the importance of this though? Like
Well,
why is this relevant?
the whole New York Comic Con part. So during this whole period, starting October 10th to an undetermined date, Brianna Wu was homeless. But the period in which she was homeless, we know that she went to the convention that weekend. So the weekend she fled her home, she went to the convention.
So homeless people
Which
can't go to
no,
conventions?
that in and of itself is not especially weird. Um, but what is kind of weird though is that she does a media tour from her house during the homeless period.
Maybe she
Uh,
went back.
well, that's what she says. So there's this is out of date. There's new information. I'll send it to you. So she did media tours interviews on October 13th, 14th, 27th, November 11th, and December 9th from her house. And there's links to that too. But during this time period, so she says she went back. So she's asked about this on the Adam and Sit show. Um, this it or no? Okay, so this is one new piece of evidence I'll send you.
Mm.
But this is her
That's for
interview with
sure.
Stardust and
Oh
Brianna.
yeah, I know Stardust.
Yeah, So Stardust interviewed her, but that's relating to another harassment claim that might be fake. There's two. Uh, so basically, this period in which she's homeless, she says on the Adam and Sitch show, which Sitch and Adam, Brianna Wu, she's been on there a couple times, so. Sorry for the dead air.
No, it's all good. I'm chilling. I'm just a little confused. It's like, so in my mind, like if I had to leave my house, okay, um, I could freely go back, and maybe she felt comfortable enough to go back because she was doing the video stuff. Like, so why are they like I don't get the relevancy of her like going to Comic-Con and like her not like being at home and then her automatically like being at home. Like I don't.
So
Honestly, it sounds a little obsessive. Not gonna lie.
well, I didn't want to go this route, but in fact, I didn't want to talk about her at all, really.
Hmm.
But then later on, as I've done more research into it, I'm like, fuck
Hmm.
it, I gotta talk
Is
about
it
this.
inconsistencies you're finding, or is it just like a little sus?
It's super sus because she says that she fled her home, but she came back to do the interviews, um, on these 6 occasions. But
That is. Go ahead.
but she was also staying at a hotel during that time period. She says too, and it just seems like I don't I it's possible she's telling the truth. But man,
Okay,
I
so
just
but
don't.
why would what? So most likely, there's like some rule. Like if you think that the most like normal answer is like the truth, right? To me, there that doesn't sound sketchy to me. She was staying at a hotel. She was considered homeless. You know, I'm considered homeless. Like technically, I don't have a Miami license. This is not technically my home was in Michigan. I'm not. This is not my home. Like I just live here. So technically, someone can say they're homeless, right? Like there's many different definitions of having a home. Okay, so I'm not finding anything suspicious because I kind of relate to her.
Well,
So
she's
it's like,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, it's not just that she was homeless. It's that she fled her home because GamerGate supporters drove her from her house.
Okay, true. Okay, literally,
Well,
that goes back to the document.
we don't know that the Death of Brianna Wu Twitter account
But
was pro GamerGate.
okay, it doesn't matter. But the probability of those things happening is extremely high. Somebody would do that. We've acknowledged that people will do crazy shit because of whoever they
Yeah,
watch, right?
it
So
could be legit.
it's
It
not
could
a
be real.
laughable notion that that is real. And like, why would she lie to get to get up on Gamergate or like the whole thing? Like, it just doesn't make sense to think that she's lying. Like, oh, she's lying. She got no. It's very possible and plausible that she got chased out of her home. She went to New York, got a hotel, went to Comic Con, and then, oh, I have some video things I need to do. Let me run back home real quick where I feel safe because there's cameras around.
And she did this
Seems
on
normal to
over
me.
6 times over a 3 month period, though.
The frequency doesn't matter.
Why
Frequency
it
doesn't
just
matter.
seems like a kind of sus story.
No, it makes sense to me, especially because I've experienced stuff like that. So it doesn't seem laughable
So
or it just doesn't seem fake.
you would go back home to do the interviews.
Yeah, if there were cameras around and people around, I would
Well,
feel safe to do
no,
so.
they were
Yeah.
like stream interviews. Like they weren't like with humans. They were live
Well, I
streamed.
mean, you still have to keep working though, no? And is this not her like job?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
It'd
yeah,
be
sure.
it would be like one of those things where it's like, ugh, I
Well,
got to do this
she
right
works
now.
from
I
home. Yeah.
don't want to do it. Okay, exactly. So she works from home. So, oh, this is what I got to do. I have to do it. It's my responsibility. It's my job. I don't like it, but I still got to fucking do it. I still got to show up, but then I'll leave after. So to me, it makes sense. I don't think she's lying, but that's just because
No.
I've been through stuff like
Yeah,
this.
there
So,
are other people who believe her, and like it's possible she's telling the truth. I can't bring myself to believe it personally.
and why
Uh,
not?
because I don't think that she's been like a very honest person. Like I don't throughout.
Is there other
So
things, other inconsistencies
well,
that have come forth?
there is one regarding this incident still, which is that Brianna says, or Brianna liked and retweeted the Death to Brianna Wu account. But that's not necessarily bad. I talked with somebody who's close with her,
Hmm.
and they told me that she would do that sometimes. Like if
Yeah,
somebody
that's
sends her
normal
mean
behavior.
messages. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not. But then there's also the Steam stuff in 2015. So as her game was coming onto Steam, it got
Hmm.
succeeded on Greenlight. There's these posts on her forums. They're in the
Does she have a
Space
PR
Cat.
manager or anything like that?
At the time, it was her and one other person, but this was from her Space Cat Girl account. Um, Are you able to pull those up?
Mm.
Oh, hang on. That's that. I better link the archive because the original URL is toast. So that's the Steam post. Oh, that's their Steam forums, and it says, "Is GSX head of development and noted feminist Brianna Wu a terrible person?" But the poster is Brianna herself. It's coming from her Space Cat Gal account. So she was asked about this, about why she made this post, and she says that she was getting hundreds of mean comments about her or her game that were criticizing either her or her game. She said, and that she made the post so that she could guide all of the mean messages to go to one place.
Mm.
So that's her explanation. Now I've looked through some of the stuff. Um, here is we actually have archives of the forums
Mhm.
and also of um, the comments section. So on the forums, there weren't these hundreds of posts. There were two other posts, I believe, at the time, neither of which were engaging in harassment. And then on the comments section, there were 134 comments on. Well, I wouldn't trust the timestamps because this archive.is is coming from like Indonesia or could be coming from anywhere. So don't trust the timestamps necessarily. But on the comments section, um, I couldn't find these hundreds of posts. It's possible that there were one or two posts, maybe, or some posts that got deleted. I think that
Mm.
there's evidence that some posts possibly got deleted because there's a user on the forums who says, "Hey, I think some posts got deleted." So it's possible that there were posts,
Mm.
but I don't see the hundreds of posts that she was talking about. And also, if people make posts criticizing her game or even criticizing her, I think that's fine. Um,
That's fair, as long as it's like not like death threats or
yeah,
like illegal behavior.
and like I get it. Like you put a lot of work into a game and you get some mean messages, and you're like, "Fuck it," I'm pissed. I put a lot of work into this. They don't appreciate me. I'm sure it could
Yeah.
be a difficult situation.
Well,
Um,
just make a better game then. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, like ultimately, yeah. I mean, I've not played it. Maybe it's a good game, but you know. But anyway, like it just seems like why would she? Did she make this post so that she could guide all the harassment to one place? Like both of her explanations, both for why she was doing interviews from her house, that
Mhm.
explanation just came like 2 months ago. Because she,
Okay, but why does she owe anyone an explanation? Like, what's the point? Are people trying to like what change are people trying to bring about because of all this? Like, what's
well,
the
people
point in
are
like?
just trying to find out like, is it even true? Because she blamed
Okay,
people for it. She blamed the GamerGaters.
okay, but we've seen like there's evidence that gamer gators are rude and incel and treat women like shit. So once again, the plausibility of this occurring is extremely high.
Well, I don't know if that's like really fair of the GamerGaters. Like I'm sure some people do meet that definition, but it's like also a very diverse group of people.
Okay,
Like I
but would you
was
say
one
that
of
there's
them,
a
and go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Like I
I would
go ahead.
I just say like I understand not lumping them all together, but like there's proof that that happened. So like to completely deny her claims and it's like it's
Well,
dumb.
yeah, she did get some harassment, like clearly, like that Twitter account. Like I don't know if that
Mhm.
whose account that was because it was a new account. Could have been anybody. But like that person, harassed her, and then so did Pterodax. He's a third-party troll. I've interviewed him, and Avius, another third-party troll. These were not even GamerGate people. They were just people who fucked with her. Pterodax fucked with
Mm.
people on both sides because he thought it was funny. He was just sort of a troll, wanted to fuck with people for humor. He's still
So
like
it's
that,
for
actually.
just because it's humor doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's okay. And I don't think the GamerGate people largely supported him either. Like when he did, here, let me send you evidence of this. Here, I'll just send you the message. So this is just like a miscellaneous file I've got of a bunch of harassment I've gathered evidence for. Um, but see, one thing he did send a harassing message to Brianna Wu in 2015. He said that he tweeted a picture of a gun at her.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah, but then a bunch of GamerGate people mass reported it and condemned it.
Doesn't matter, but that she could have said, "Oh, that is the one tweet that led me to leave my home because I felt unsafe."
Well,
I'm
no, the
sorry.
one tweet was
It
a different
automatically.
one.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It still confirms that she was receiving harassment that was strongly, it could have literally led her to her leaving her home. It literally just proved her claims.
Yeah, no, somebody did her. Well, that guy's not a GamerGate person though. She shouldn't
It
say
doesn't
that.
matter. It doesn't. It does not matter.
Well, it
If
matters
he's
if
if
she says.
even
It matters if she
no, it
says though.
doesn't. No, it doesn't, because even at the end of the day, even if she says, "Oh, he's a gamer," it doesn't matter because you just admitted he played both sides of the fence. So technically, yes, by that logic, he is a gamergater. He's on both sides of the fence playing and trolling people. So yes, her claims are substantiated.
Well, okay, I wouldn't. I'm not saying that no GamerGate people harass, because I think Ethan Ralph did. Ethan Ralph is a GamerGate person who did harass her.
Okay, so what comes of this? What is the whole point in like trying to disprove her claims? What change are we trying to make?
I think she should be honest about it moving forward.
Okay, but why? Why do you
it's
think she
not
should be? Like, what?
because I
She
think
was
that
harassed.
I think the media ran with her story, some of which I don't think was entirely accurate. And
Okay, but just
so
because you think it's accurate or not, it was proven that she got harassed,
she
which
did get
is
harassed. She
wrong.
did get harassed, and that was
She
wrong.
left
I
her home
agree.
because she felt unsafe. So it doesn't matter if the fine details are a little bit off or a little quirky or wonky. It doesn't matter. She's been proven. So what do we want? What would make people happy coming from this? What do we want to just platform her? Like what is the change that people are seeking because of this? Because for all I've heard so far is a bunch of fucking incels on the internet harassing a woman,
Well,
which is what the problem is.
so she said though, like her story isn't just like, hey, look, some of the GamerGate people harassed me. Like her story though is that this entire movement is dedicated to destroying her life and the lives of women.
Well, it may be a little bit of an overstatement, but it's not completely wrong because from what I've seen, from the evidence you've given me as a woman who has also experienced harassment on the internet, there's nothing wrong with what she said. And it's
I,
completely believable that she felt unsafe in her home and only came back to do her job, which is what she was supposed to do, which is what I've done. I've shown up and when I've not wanted to be here. So it's like it's this idea that, oh, she's lying just because people are pissed off because they're wrong, they're in the wrong. Just accept you're in the wrong, accept you're all incels and be done with it.
I think that what she should do and what she should have done from the start was just
Okay.
be more specific. Who's attacking me? Instead of saying
Mm.
like, oh, the entire GamerGate community, which is like
Well, what if they're
thousands of
already
people.
under pseudonyms anyway? You said people shouldn't use their real names, and it would be kind of hard to make everyone use their real names on the internet. So who's to say? So I think she was just doing everyone a favor and just saying Gamergate in general, which is smart because nobody's going to sit here and read all these lists of names of people who harass me. Whenever I went through what I went through, you know how many people were harassing me? I can't sit here and list every single fucking username, every single IP, every single name of the, like, no, just say it was the movement. That's what people do. Everyone does it. It's not like she's trying to like make it seem like, oh, Gamergate's, no, it's the truth. It's a bunch of incels who harass women because they don't like them. That's what it is. I've seen it. It's ridiculous.
There are people on the internet who are like who do harass people and harass women because they're women. I'm sure, and who are incels too. But like I don't think that you should just like assume that like oh
Okay,
that's
so
what the
like I said,
GamerGate people by and large were.
okay, so what do we do with this information? Brianna Wu's a liar. What do we do?
I I don't know. I've
What do you
struggled
want?
with
What
it
do you
for
want then?
months. I've struggled with it for months. I think she should be more careful about how she talks about it.
A lot of people should be more careful with how they talk about things. Men
Should I do
too.
that
No,
with
I'm
regards
just
to this
we're having a
conversation?
conversation. Well, what I'm saying is I don't know. I just think it's for me as someone who has been through it and I have a real world connection to this stuff and I feel it and like understand her. It's really frustrating when men sit here and nitpick when they're a part of the problem. Like people are literally nitpicking like, "Oh, she lied about this, she lied about." No, let's just focus on the overall theme, the overall fact. The fact is, Gamergate and people associated with the movement were harassing her, which led her to feel uncomfortable in her own home, which led her to not be there anymore, but only there when she needed to do her job. Which is pretty professional if you ask me, because if I was scared to be in my home and someone sent me a fucking gun on the internet and I thought they were going to come shoot me, I'd be too scared to come home. So I actually applaud her for continuing doing her job.
Oh, I mean, I honestly, you're giving like the best defense of her I've seen ever. So, and you know what? I'm not here to like attack Brianna Wu. So,
No, I'm not
like,
saying you are.
yeah, no,
If you feel like I like talking to you, it's just it's like it's not you.
no, definitely, you go hard at me. I don't care.
So
What?
now that we have either established A, she's a liar, or B, she's a truther, what are we supposed to do? Where do we go from here?
Um,
What's the whole purpose?
I don't know. I don't know how I want to talk about this moving forward, I guess. But I think she needs to be way more specific. Like even like in her Stardust interview recently,
Mm.
she said that the GamerGate was this mob of people dedicated to destroying the lives of women, which like is like totally not true. And like because she told people this, and a lot of the people in the press just sort of ran with it or believed her, which is fine. Like she got harassed. She's 100% legitimate for her to talk about that publicly. But like the fact that she blamed the entire movement and not just say, oh, some people or these
Are there any
specific
large?
accounts.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Are there any large streamers you can associate with the movement?
Large streamers.
Yeah, with
Um,
Gamergate. Like, are there any Gamergate streamers you can think of? Even though, like, if even if their content isn't like Gamergate related, like, who do you think is a like who are the streamers that are associated with it? Like, could you
not
name any names?
so most of the streamers are like dedicated streamers are quite small, but like for YouTubers, I guess, like if just content creators in general, we'll say, or streamers specifically.
Yeah, well, content creators
Okay,
in
so
general.
there's a wide variety. Like one of them is Milo Yiannopoulos, right? Who is an asshole and a
Mm.
terrible person. But there's also other people too, like Christina Hoff Sommers. She's a feminist academic um, who disagrees with certain aspects of like modern feminism. There's also Shuan Head. She's a YouTuber on the left wing. Sargon, who's on the right wing. Um, and a bunch of other people too, like myself, smaller creator, I guess. Cathy Young, she works for The Bulwark and Reason Magazine. She's a writer there. I actually have the list of people I've interviewed. I think I can pick out some
Any
of the.
DGG members?
Uh, some of the GGG community probably is.
Oh, there you go. Then
Well, Beckett
100%. I fucking have no problem believing what happened to Brianna.
Beckett of Crabs. You know him? He's Stardust's boyfriend.
No, no.
Oh, he was involved with Gamergate. He's a streamer. Appabend, he's a big YouTuber.
Because I'm just trying to make my own connection to the situation so I can like provide reasons for why I believe the way I do.
So you
Because
think
like
that
I
Destiny's community supports harassment?
no, I'm asking. I'm
Oh, okay.
asking if they were involved in it because I don't want to assume. I don't want to
So
assume, but if they were
Destiny,
involved in it, I can use it as a like, yo, I went through the same shit with them.
yeah, to my knowledge, I'm not seeing like every single Destiny video. He's, as you know, he's like a huge, tons of content.
Hmm.
But I don't think he's ever really involved with Gamergate. I don't remember him being involved at the time. And from what I've seen, when he's talked about it, the rare couple occasions he has that I've seen at least, he was like pretty neutral, and didn't really take any sides.
Mm. Good.
But did they support harass you?
No, they all fucking harass me. He said some not so nice things about me, which is ironic because I would consider us friends offline. So
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what
yeah.
all happened with that. If you don't want, or if you don't talk about it, it's up to you.
Is well, we won't talk about the actual situation. I'll talk about the aftermath of it. I literally got death threats, rape threats. I had people sending me my address, like shit that nobody should be sending me. Like they sent me. So that's why I'm saying it is very believable to me that a movement and the people involved with it led a woman to feel uncomfortable in her own home.
Oh yeah, that sure. Like if she framed it that way, that'd be great. That'd be fine.
Well, when there's a lot going on and people are demanding a lot from you, it's hard to get your shit straight, especially if it's an emotional experience, which it is. Death threats aren't easy to take. They're scary too, especially if they're providing you your address and all that shit. And pictures of your house on Google Maps. It's kind of weird.
Does it like so? What's your best evidence that like his community is his or the people from his community rather have just if you don't if you
Well,
want
I
to talk
didn't
about
keep
this?
any receipts, but you
Okay.
can cross check usernames and chatters. You see people in their chat and their Twitter names and it's super easy to know.
What do
Especially
you?
when it was one of the only people who covered certain stories. Like if there was only one streamer that covered that story, where did they hear the story from? There's no other because it was only me and it was that other person who had a large community and it led to harassment. And it was on his on people's Reddits, on people's on their chat, like there's no like arguing it. Like where the harassment came from.
So what do you think should be done? Like what should Destiny do in your view?
Oh, he shouldn't do anything. Because like I said, like we're friends. I consider us friends off stream. It was a little hurtful to hear all of that, knowing like especially what he knows now. Like I think I've kind of like proved that like I'm not what he thinks I am. Like, because we've had like good private conversations, and you know, it just sucks that it's how it went down. But I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because, like, to be fair, he didn't know much about me at that time. No one really did, because like I don't like I was very new to all this, and you know, I what happened happened, and but it's like it just goes to show that like you know people will do those things, and it can lead to people feeling unsafe and unhappy, and it's not right. And I don't expect anything to be done. I don't. I just want, I think for me, what makes me happy is just both sides of the story being known. And like, I would much rather I wish people would like not completely discredit people right off rip, because you miss a lot of context and you miss a lot of the story by doing that. Just because you think this person is like crazy or a liar or psycho or schizo or you know all these things, which it's most of the time people aren't really like that, because you know you get to know these people and they are real people, they have emotions, they have feelings, they have backstories, they have all these things. So all the only change I seek is hearing people out and like giving people a chance to talk and like giving people a chance to like prove themselves.
I appreciate you doing that with me today. So
Yeah, no problem. It's been pretty chill.
yeah, I actually it's weird we talk about Destiny because he actually inspired me to stream.
Well, yeah, well, I can tell you're very like analytical, and that's pretty much what his content is, very like that style. For me, it's not my cup of tea, simply because like I'm a little more childish, but not like in like a bad way. Really just stick to gaming, stick to having fun. I don't like to take this stuff too serious, because like it's just politics and all of that, the discussion. It's very like, and especially having ADHD, it's very hard for me to like sit here and like have a productive conversation without like doing something, or like or having it be something I'm actually like I love, or you know what I'm saying. But I do try. I do try to you know, have conversations and be a part of discussions. It's just really hard for me. And especially because of the like bad taste I have in my mouth from the first time, the first go around, it's like I don't know, do I even want to get involved in that anymore? But here we are.
Yeah, trying to decide what you want to do, it's very difficult. I struggled my whole life with that too.
Mm.
Though I think this is it. I think that this, not this project necessarily, but when this
Mm-hmm.
project's done, like doing this kind of work with political streaming, journalism,
Yeah. Do
history, I think that that's what I want to do.
you have any future stories that you're planning on covering? Like anything
Oh
you're
my
interested
God,
in?
oh my God, my phone. I've got a huge list of stories I want to cover at some point. Um, it's really, really bad. Where is it at? Oh, here we go. Investigations. I call them investigations. I've got. Look at this. This. Oh well, maybe I shouldn't show everything on screen, but I'm not used to being on webcam. Yeah, like the Hugo Award story.
Mm.
Um, last year there was a big controversy with that. I might be planning on covering the sad puppies controversy as well from a historical perspective and doing a book on that. Um,
Let's have puppies.
so it's this group of people. They're authors. You do you read a lot of books,
I used to. I don't read as much anymore.
like sci-fi fantasy at all, or?
I like romance novels, I like true crime, coming of age stories, stuff like that. Very girly topics.
Gotcha. I don't know these people's work that well, but like Sarah Hoyt, who I've talked with before actually, Larry Correa, Brad Torgeson, Kate Polk, and a bunch of other people.
Hmm.
They launched this campaign starting in 2013 to try and vote as a block in the Hugo Award ceremony.
Mm.
So the Hugo Awards are like the most prestigious science fiction and fantasy award, or they're generally regarded as one of the most prestigious ones. And so they felt like there was a clique of people that might be controlling, that might be like voting as a block, or that might be controlling things behind the scenes, making sure that their friends' games win the awards.
Oh, gotcha.
So they were like investigating that. But as part of their investigation, they made their own list of recommended, because it's the Hugo Awards voted on by the public,
Gotcha.
and so they basically wanted to encourage people to vote for their list as part of a test to see what would happen. And they feel like they got excluded from the Overton window. They kind of pushed out of the convention by this group of people that they consider social justice warriors. or
Mm,
I don't know if they would call them that, but like people that some people call that. But I think they got wrongly demonized.
that makes
But
sense.
I've not like looked into it a whole bunch. Like maybe it turns out they are real Nazis. But like from what I've talked to them, they seem
Nazis.
no, I don't think they are. But when I talk to them, they seem cool. So and they don't seem they say that they're a diverse group of people too. And I've seen similar accusations made against the GamerGate people that I'm skeptical of. So
You know what I've noticed? I feel like all these people that like wear diversity and like inclusion and like all that as a badge, they're like really depressed, like unhappy people.
that's
Like I
probably
feel
true
like
for some of them.
like I'm diverse, okay? I'm black and white, all right? I have ADHD, like I'm pretty weird. I would consider myself pretty diverse, but here's the thing, like there's people that are like so about diversity that it's like you got to do this, you got to do that, and it's so they're unhappy. Like all these people are unhappy, and you know why? It's because it's never gonna happen. They're never gonna get what they want. It's just how it is. It's how it's life. It is what it is. And you can fight for it. You can, but then also you'll see it where it switches, where it's like the people who used to be marginalized and used to be like the victim of all these things. Now they're the ones who are doing it. You know, they're the ones treating people like that. They're literally becoming the people they sought to destroy in the first place. So it makes no sense. It's an endless cycle.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I think that that's a common mindset, and a lot of people would agree with you too. But I'm not really like an anti SJW.
Mm.
Like I don't. I just I try to view everybody and treat them all with dignity and respect and hear out their ideas. But like I do think there's a lot of problems from that community, from the social justice warriors, the people who set themselves up as like these like the white saviors, like the Devin Wilson guy. Or I don't know if he's
Hmm.
white, but like
Yeah.
people who set themselves up like that, I do think there's a problem. I do want to just be responsible though, since we did talk about the Aiden Ross thing. I do want to make this is from Destiny's subreddit, but it's here's all the evidence of Aiden's community was engaged in doc. Oh, but where's the evidence? Is there anything of whether or not he condemned it or not,
No, I don't know. I
or
didn't pay
encouraged it?
attention. All I know is that something was said, and both communities were in the wrong. Let's just put it to that. Both communities were in the wrong. And if the DGGers say that they weren't, they literally did the same shit to me. They doxed me whenever Destiny talked about my story, so I don't want to hear it.
Gotcha. Sorry, I was just
But
trying to see
yeah,
if I could find if he
no, it's
condemned
okay.
it or not, or if he because like, the chat was saying that he encouraged it, but you'd think that just this would be like an easy thing to pull up, but anyway, we can move on. So, spring 2015, there's a bunch of controversies in the games industry, censorship controversies or artistic freedom controversies, or representation controversies, depending on how you look at who you're
Mm.
talking to. But like one of them was change the cover. Do you read comics at all?
Uh, I read Korean comics,
Really?
but yeah, like True Beauty stuff like that.
Is there like a big Korean comics industry?
Um, it's more like the web series, like webtoons. Do you know what webtoons are?
No.
They sometimes adapt them into like Netflix shows and stuff. One of my favorites is True Beauty. It's by a Korean author. And it's like comics but on the internet.
True Beauty comic or webtoon. Huh.
Once again, it's very girly. I love things centered around romance. I'm a hopeless romantic, so I
Oh,
enjoy it.
nothing wrong with that. So there's this controversy called change the cover or a
Oh goodness.
Batgirl variant cover. Know Your Meme had a good article on it.
Oh goodness.
If anyone in the chat has the link to the source on the Aiden Ross Destiny stuff, just send it to me. That way we can make sure we have it factually accurate. So anyway, this comic book cover is announced. They're doing a sort of like a series of stuff because it's the anniversary of the Joker, I believe it was.
Ooh, yeah.
So they're doing a lot of Joker themed comic covers, and this is a variant cover. So it's not the main cover; it's an alternative one. And in the cover, Joker is holding Batgirl hostage. He's got a gun. He's draped over his. Here, I'll just share it too on screen.
Once again, to me, it's just sounding like finding something to be upset about. It's a comic. It's crime. Like you're really gonna get mad at comics? I don't get it. I just when I hear stuff like this, I don't take it serious. Cause like it seems like people are literally just finding things to get mad about. A comic book cover? Comics aren't even the preferred medium anymore, and people are getting mad about them. I'd understand maybe like a movie trailer or like maybe the movie cover or the fucking poster, but like comic book covers, seriously?
Yeah, I think
Like grow up.
it's a silly thing to get upset about. A lot of people, big into comics still though too. People in my audience like comics. I'm not a huge fan. I don't dislike them or anything. I just haven't read enough. But they said that it encouraged like sexual assault or glamorized sexual assault is one of the tweets, and then she's a victim in the cover.
Okay.
And some people said that because the
She's supposed
cover,
to be. She's supposed to be.
some people said that because the cover was a reference to the 1988 comic book, The Killing Joke,
Mm.
that in that comic it's implied that maybe the Joker sexually assaulted her, Batgirl, and
He's a
so
villain. He's an evil villain. Of course he's gonna rape people. Like I don't get
so
it.
they thought it was they thought it was not good to have the cover, so they wanted it to be changed. But other people fought back, and they did save the cover, another hashtag,
Mm.
and pushed back on the idea. And ultimately, they ended up changing the cover. Though the artist said that he changed it because he ultimately agreed with the people criticizing it.
Mm.
And then, in addition to that, there were other controversies too, all in the spring of 2015. So there was the Pillars of Eternity controversy, where have you played Pillars of Eternity?
Mm-mm.
Okay, me either actually. But they have a tombstone in the game. So basically, if you spent enough money on the Kickstarter, you could add a tombstone of your choice with the
Mm-hmm.
words of your choice. So one person made a joke on the tombstone that it got some negative attention. Let's just say. Let me just read it
What
out
did it
loud.
say?
I'm gonna try and pull up the exact text. So Firedorn, he's the one who backed the game.
Mm-hmm.
Here lies Firedorn, a hero in bed. He once was alive, but now he's dead. The last woman he bedded turned out a man, and crying in shame, off a cliff he ran.
Okay, yeah, I see how it's a little insensitive to the trans community, but come on, it's a fucking joke.
So after the backlash, Obsidian talked to Firedorn, the backer, and they said, "Hey, are you okay with us changing this?" He said yes, but he made the new one a joke about. Well, let's just read it. Here lies Firedorn, a bard, a bard, a poet. He was also a card, but mostly didn't know it. A poem he wrote in jest was misread. They asked for blood, so now he's dead.
Based. That's great.
That is
That's a great
based.
way to handle it.
I agree. There was another one too with Lionhead Studios. This is what got me involved with GamerGate. This Lionhead Studios one, I think it was,
Gotcha.
or ChangeTheCover, one of the two. But it's I was neutral in following the story, and at some
Mm-hmm.
point I decided I'm gonna take a side. So I was neutral at first, but then I chose to side with the pro GamerGaters around this period. But they made a tweet about what was it, National Cleavage Day, and as you can imagine, this did not go over so great on Twitter.
Yeah, understandably so.
Do you think that they shouldn't do stuff like that?
I don't know. I feel like it celebrates me being a woman. Not gonna lie. I mean, of course, I don't want it to be like the focus of everything, like oh, fat tits, big tits, cleavage, but like also at the same time, like I feel like once again, it's all about how you look at it, which is something I've been struggling with recently. But like national cleavage, that you could either choose to get upset and like cause an uproar over it, or just be like, hey, I'm a woman. I have boobies. It's a great thing to be a woman. These feed children. These are a part of being a woman. Like I accept it. I love it. So sure, thanks. Talk about my tits all you want,
Based.
as long as it's in a positive light.
So there's these three controversies. There might have been a couple others too, minor ones, but those are the three that are the three big ones I at least talk about the most. So that's what got me involved. A lot of people are like, well, hang on a second. It seems like there's a lot of people online who are trying to stifle discussion, or trying to stifle
Mm-hmm.
artistic freedom rather. That these game developers have a vision that they want to pursue, or these comic book creators or whoever it is. These artists have a vision, and they're afraid to pursue it
They're gonna end
because
up
of it.
hurting the gaming industry.
And so some people thought it was worth pushing back against that, like I did. And so the ethics people, it started to branch out in other areas. Like it started off about this
Mm-hmm.
ethics in games controversy, but now there's censorship stuff being thrown into it, and all this. Well, there's censorship stuff going back a while too, because some of the GamerGate people got censored. Like some websites actually censored their discussion,
Mm-hmm.
including Reddit. Well, one of the subreddits on Reddit did, R Gaming,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
then
wow, that's a
yeah,
pretty big subreddit too.
4chan. Yeah, there was a massive comment graveyard. 4chan actually ended
Mm-hmm.
up censoring the discussion as well. Um,
Wow.
and then there were other sites too. NeoGaf did as well. Reset Era did, and then there were others too. I don't remember. I don't have a whole list, but
Hmm. Well, yeah, that for me that's a little shocking that even 4chan did it because the shit I see on 4chan is like absolutely deplorable.
yeah, there's various different hypotheses about why that is. Like
Hmm.
one person thinks that the mods were just tired of dealing with it because it was going on for
Oh,
months.
that makes sense. Yeah.
But other people said too that maybe it's because they thought it was harassment was going on. And then other people said too that it could be because one of the moderators might have been friends with
Mm,
somebody who was on the other side, and so they decided, you know what, hey, look, we're just gonna shut it all down. But nobody
gotcha.
knows for sure really why.
Mm.
Then the GamerGate people make a website in 2015 called DeepFreeze. It's still up. I
Mm-hmm.
can link it if you want.
Sure.
But it's cataloging its ethical violations.
People
So
catalog ethical violations. See, once again, what does it sound like to me? Too much time on people's hands.
well, they want to reform the industry, so they think that, hey, look, we're going to create like a database of the various ethical violations that are occurring in games journalism. That way we can learn from
Oh,
them, and that way
interesting.
we can inform the public they should trust or who they shouldn't trust. Like who's doing a good job, basically.
Okay, but who's to say that? Like, who has a right to say like, oh, you can't like that's unfair.
Well, they don't say
Like,
oh, we don't endorse this person necessarily. Actually, they kind of
mm,
do. Well, they they have a different metric for it, but they do something kind of they we can so if you click on like the journalist tab, um, and like click on somebody's profile, like Chris Ligman, he's the top person.
mm-hmm,
Or sorry, she's the top person. So it just sort of like goes through like here are various like conflicts of interest, and also did they end up fixing them later on? So did they issue a correction? So what exactly was the issue? And then did the journalist issue a correction? And if they issue corrections, that's notated. So you can keep track of like, okay, this person messed up before these three times, but in all three instances, they decided to issue a correction and fix the story or add disclosure or whatever it was, and it notates that too. So it
you realize this is insane, right? Like the depth of this is absolutely insane. It's actually childish. Like the fact that people are keeping track of what people do wrong and how they fix it just to that's because then it makes people, that makes people scared to fuck up, which makes people fuck up even more. Like if you can't do, like, no, absolutely, I don't subscribe to this bullshit. Like this is about video games. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Too much time on people's hands. It's
I
like
think it's
actually,
important.
it's disturbing. It's disturbing. It's most definitely disturbing that people keep track of when people fuck up. Like let's give it layman's terms. People are keeping track of when people fuck up.
Well,
Like
only
that's
these are
crazy to me.
all these people are journalists. They
It
all
doesn't
have a
matter. Then the
responsibility to
public.
inform
Then
the public of the truth. And to be
who
honest,
gave them the responsibility to inform the public? Who gives a shit?
well,
Like the
whoever
fact that they're
company
getting this
hired them,
menial. That's insane. Well, I'm glad that I'm glad I'm not involved in any of this because it literally on the outside looking in, it looks like a bunch of children. Like that's literally what this is summed up to. People are keeping track of when people fuck up. People are keeping timelines. People are keeping tabs. Like that's weird. That's weird. It's weird and obsessive. And that's literally how it looks to me as someone who actually does enjoy video games and doesn't give a shit about the politics, doesn't give it. I enjoy video gaming as an experience and that's all it should be. Like it's ridiculous that people are now keeping track and like making sure people are making up for it. Like no, it's weird. It's weird behavior, even for journalists.
Well, so I'm of the view that it's important to have watchdogs in society, and that we need to have like a very robust public sector, which is like nonprofit groups, citizen organizations, online movements, whatever it is. I think that these are good to provide checks on power, to have like power be diverse, like dispersed in society. And so like if these journalists have power, and I think a lot of them do, both within the industry and sometimes outside of it, then I think that it's good that people are being watchful and being like, okay, look, here are some of the mistakes that have been made. Here are the things that they've done to
Then
correct those mistakes.
who's gonna check the checks and balances then? Who's gonna make sure that whenever they fuck up, who's gonna talk about the people who are checking those people?
I
Like
think
who's there who keeps them in check?
well, that's a good question, right? Journalists, I think, right? So like what like so I do that, right? I think the public does this too. And you can criticize DeepFreeze. Like I criticize them too. So one of the things that they have on their website that they ding people for, if we can find it. I think it's under rules. They have sensationalism as a rule.
Hmm.
They call it yellow journalism. And so they'll
Well,
ding
yellow journalism is actually something that we combated in like history, even like offline. Like that was something that was always a problem. Like with the whenever the printing press came out, like they that
Mhm.
was yellow journalism always was a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, so that's what they call sensationalism, yellow journalism in this
Mm.
case. I think that they are kind of like I don't know if they're. Let's just look it up. Are they mutually? Are they the same thing basically?
What? Yeah,
Okay.
sensationalism and yellow. Yes, it's the same
Okay.
thing.
So they ding some of these journalists and websites, um, for yellow journalism, um, because they think that they're using sensationalism. But like I don't like
Mm.
this is kind of subjective, right? Um, so I don't know if they should do it. I don't know. I don't have like a strong opinion, but like the fact that
Mm.
what do you think? Like well, you don't think this whole thing is kind of a bad idea, right?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not. I don't. When I play video games, I'm not analyzing it. I'm playing the video game because I enjoy the video game. So it's like I find all of this to be laughable because I don't research this stuff. I don't put hours and hours and hours of time on what someone did wrong and what they're doing to fix it. Like, because like I know ultimately it doesn't fucking matter as long as I keep myself in check and as long as I do good by others. That's all that matters to me.
Well, I want to live in a more ethical world, and like I think that
It's not possible. I don't believe in a utopia. I don't believe that ethical. Like, it's never gonna happen.
not a utopia, but I think we have
It will
improved
never be ethical.
society. I think we have improved society drastically over time. But
But you're a
maybe
leftist.
well, I'm a liberal,
Oh,
but
yeah, you're a liberal. I'm not.
what are you?
Well, I said I'm nonpartisan, but I would probably align more with like a moderate. I'm very moderate, but I would say I'm anti far left, 100%.
Yeah, I'm anti-far left and anti-far right too. So by the way, we are like 2 hours. Did you want to take a break or anything? Or you good?
I'm chilling. We can get questions from chat if you want.
Sure. And then I don't know how late you wanted to go, but there's a lot of other stuff we hadn't get to yet.
We can get to it. Just know that because of my ADHD, I'm playing a game right now, so to kind of like help with my focus and stuff. So that if it looks like I'm not paying attention, I promise you I am. I'm just playing a video game.
Sure. Well, if you don't mind, I guess I'll put the offer out there to everybody. If your audience wants to submit any chat questions, or my audience wants to, by all means, for either of us, submit the questions.
Go ahead. Yeah. If you have any questions, chat, let me know.
What game are you playing?
Slitherio.
Hmm, I don't think I've heard of that.
Yeah,
What's it
it's
about?
just a little game that I play to kind of like so I can like sit in my chair for like if my brain is not always like not that this isn't stimulating, but what I'm saying is like if I don't see colors or like things happening, like I get a little it's hard for me to pay attention.
Is that the worm game?
Yeah. Often do you
So
go out? I feel like that's a personal question that's not really relevant to the conversation.
do what? What was the question?
Yeah, someone wanted to know how often you go out.
Not enough. Yeah, no. I want to make this my full-time job. I want to make finishing this project my full-time job. I want to do a Kickstarter
Mm,
or some sort of campaign like that. And
gotcha.
Yeah, that way I can have more free time because I work full time and then I do this, like the working on the book, working on
Yeah.
streaming, I'm doing a media tour right
Oh yeah,
now.
you're busy.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
So in addition to
'Cause
the sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
in addition to the website, there was also the Society of Professional Journalists. I mentioned them earlier. They hosted a conference in 2015 called SPJ Airplay. This is
Mhm.
because they had Ethics Week, SPJ Ethics Week. It's sort of like a weekly celebration of journalistic ethics, and they a bunch of people posted in there. Some of them were trolls posting to mess with people, to mess with the troll the GamerGaters, I
Mhm.
guess. And then some people and troll the SPJ too, maybe. Um, and then some people also were posting like legitimate questions, like, "Hey, look, this is an ethics question I've got," or "Do you think that what's going on with games journalism is bad?" And so Michael Koretzky, he's a regional director for the SPJ. He he read through the hashtag and was like, "You know what? Um, there's some good questions in here, and some really crazy shit too, but some good questions also." And so he thought it was worth engaging. So he decided to write an
Mhm.
article about the situation. And then he also hosted a conference, the SPJ conference. Well, the SPJ was already doing a conference, but they had a whole separate conference inside that conference, like a conference within a conference, like two panels, really, I guess, um,
Mm.
for GamerGate to find out two things. And initially, they invited people on both sides, but only
God.
one side ended up agreeing to come. The pro GamerGaters, the anti GamerGaters declined. The people he
Yeah, because
reached
they were
out to.
probably scared of getting harassed.
Yeah, that's or they didn't think it was for some reason they declined. Um, so they didn't go. But so then they had ethics experts come instead. So they had one game developer, Derek Smart, and then two journalism ethics experts, Lynn Walsh from the Society of Professional Journalists. She later became the president of that organization. She's really cool. I've interviewed her. She just had a baby. Congratulations. She's awesome.
What makes someone an expert on ethics?
Well, they well, in this case, it's two people. It's Lynn Walsh. She works for this SPJ. It's one of the more. It's one of the biggest. I don't know about biggest, but it's like one of the big journalism organizations, like professional
Mm.
associations, and they create guidelines and rules for ethics and other
Mm.
stuff too. So like that's like her credentials. And then the Ren LaForme, he works for the Pointer Institute. Supposedly, they're like a journalism organization as well, but I'm not super familiar with their work, to be honest. It's a
Mm.
non-profit media institute that provides fact-checking and media literacy and journalism ethics training to citizens and journalists alike. Okay, so these are the two ethics experts they had, which I think Lynn's great. I don't have a problem with her. I don't really know Rin that much. Um,
Mm.
and then they had Derek Smart, who's a game developer. He worked on like Battlecruiser 3000 and some
Mm.
other games. So those people were there, and they had two panels. The first part, they were going to talk about ethics in games journalism. Is there an issue? Uh, these gamergators, they've got this
Mm.
website saying, hey, look at all
Yeah.
these journalists who are corrupt. They keep saying that the games journalists are corrupt. Is it true? Let's find out. And so they asked the gamergators. They had a in the panel. They asked three pro gamergate people, and then three neutral people, the
Mm.
experts. They had them talk about specific issues that they had. Like, okay, walk me through. I think one of them was the Patricia Hernandez thing. Walk me through writing articles about your roommate and not disclosing that. Is that an issue? Here's what happened. Is that a real problem? And I think they did agree that that was an issue. Another thing too was the second panel, which was about how the media should cover Gamergate, because we're going to get to that too. But a lot of the media coverage of Gamergate was quite negative, um, and well, more like one-sided, I guess. Some people would say. I would say it didn't really include the pro Gamergate perspective that much. But so that's something that the Gamergate people were concerned about. And so Koretzky's like, well, you say the media did a bad job covering your movement. Let's dive into that and see if that's true. But that got canceled halfway through because someone called a bomb threat in and stopped it.
Wow.
But they still kept going because they went to a secondary location
Mhm.
and filmed it from like an abandoned uh, abandoned house, like the carport of an abandoned house across the street from the convention
Oh,
center.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
because they're like, we're not going to let them silence us. We're going to keep doing it. So after that, that event, there's the Kunkel Awards. So the SPJ, the Society of Professional Journalists, Lynn Walsh and Michael Koretzky were both big supporters of this. So the organization created an award for games journalism to try and encourage game journalists to do a good job. So like the
Hmm.
idea is we're gonna find the best examples of good games journalism and we're gonna reward that behavior. So we're gonna create incentives for them to do a good job. And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
that ran for about 5 years. Then they decided to merge that into their normal award ceremony. So it's like it's still a thing,
Mm.
but it's now instead of having it be like 5 different awards, it's just one award.
Oh, okay.
Then there were SavePoint, another panel at South by Southwest to talk about it. And then I hosted panels too at Arch Anime and Natsucon about it. And I actually had a third panel canceled due to at Archon at St. Louis because an online mob didn't want me to talk, I guess.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've got the evidence for that too if you want to see it. Actually, I think I already sent it to you because it's in the harassment list. Um, and then there was also censorship at other conventions too. Calgary Expo kicked out the Honey Badger Brigade. Do you know them?
No, 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 I don't know the Honey Badger Brigade.
They're a men's rights activist group. I
Oh,
disagree with them quite a bit on some stuff, but I get along with them fine. I get along with a huge number of people who I disagree with on stuff. But anyway, they got kicked out at Calgary Expo because someone falsely accused them of harassment, and I've seen the video. It is false. Um, they said that they harassed people at a comic book panel, but if you watch the panel, they say something like, "Why is?" So they I think it was I can link you the full video if we can find it, but the the panelist asks the audience, "Why is feminism a dirty word?" And so the Calgary Expo people they say, "Are you okay if we answer that?" And they say, "Yeah." And so she gives an answer. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it wasn't harassment. Um, and then later on, someone tried to claim, I don't know who it was specifically, that they harassed the panelist at the panel.
mm,
But like, if you look at the video, they were polite, and they actually sued the expo too. But I think the lawsuit ended up getting either settled or thrown out, one of the two. And then there's also Kukuruyo. He's an artist, Hugo Award-winning artist. He's really cool. His debate got canceled at Comic Con in Spain. They were hosting
mm,
an event in Spain to debate it with both sides, have both sides come together, talk about it.
yeah.
That's what mine was too. Mine was both sides coming together to talk about it. My third one was originally, and then the other person had to back out last minute, or not last minute, but like a few weeks in advance. And we were trying to find a replacement though when they canceled it. So then there's Zoe Quinn. She comes back up because there's a game developer called Tim Saray.
Mm-hmm.
He made the Last Night. Uh, it's not the last. It was not the last night. It was the last night was somebody else. It was. Oh no, sorry. What's the last night? Okay, he did make the Last Night. It's this indie game. It's still in development. But he goes on this. He goes up on the stage at this conference, and talks about the game. And Zoe Quinn tweets out that Tim Saray is one of her harassers,
Was he
and
harassing her?
not from what I saw. He did tweet out like two or three times, I think it was, about GamerGate. But all of his tweets were like pretty bog standard, like normal stuff. Like he said, it was about ethics in games journalism or ethics in journalism in general. Maybe it was.
Mm.
That was one of them. And then the other tweet too, he said that like modern feminism is like a cancer, or I don't know if he said cancer. I don't think he said that. I think he said something more mild. But he was like modern feminism he said something disparaging about it, not about like her specifically, but about a movement she was a part of, I guess.
That's wrong.
But then she called him her harasser, and he almost lost his job actually, but he ended up apologizing.
Mm.
And but I don't think he had to. I don't think he should have apologized. He was kind of like forced to, I think. But yeah,
Yeah,
he did.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I did the whole like forcing people to apologize. It just makes the apology less like, authentic and like meaningful. So like I don't know, like I don't know why people seek like forced apologies because it does nothing. Like it doesn't mean anything if they don't mean it, you know? I don't get it.
Yeah, and
And then like go ahead.
I think I just feel like because the reason she said that, it seems like it is because he supported GamerGate. He was pro GamerGate, a developer, and so it seems like she just wanted to just fuck with him because he's the enemy.
Oh, so she was having a little fun.
Well, she did that a lot actually. And
Mm.
she ran her organization Crash Override Network. The Skype logs for this have been leaked, and 4 of the people involved have confirmed that they're real. Though one person says that some of them might have been edited. Um, but her organization, this anti-harassment group, ostensibly that she
Mm.
ran, they were trying to get like Foxygon, this guy kicked out of the military. Um, he was pro Gamergate and neutral. He like switched sides a couple times between the two, but um, they tried to get him kicked out of the military for I don't know why,
Mm-hmm.
but they really didn't like him. And then they also tried to dox these people in the Gamergate Facebook group. Randy Harper, what other people did, like so, like their organization was doing some crazy shit. Um, she fucked with people. She was a hell dump person from Something Awful originally. Like she's had a whole history online of trolling people, which is like fine. I don't like care as long as you don't hurt other people.
Mm.
But she does. She's malicious about it. I feel
Mm.
like the Tim Saray incident.
Oh, it's the Tim Saray incident.
That's the developer, the last
Oh,
night guy.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And then she has a whole other controversy later too. um, so then there's Zack Attack. This popular GamerGate person named Mombot. She she works with someone else named Rudder House. They both support GamerGate. They on the Pro GG side, and then they actually infiltrate the anti-GamerGate community. By Rudder House pretends to be one of them and gains their trust.
Mm.
And he infiltrates their community, and then him and Mombot lay out breadcrumbs to see if they would try to dox her, and they
Mm.
took the bait. And then he
Oh,
ended
nice.
up recording their entire like group chat of them trying to fuck with people. It was like 12 people. One of them works at Ubisoft. One of them game developer Pal Hofstein was in that group, and then some e-celebs, quote unquote, like influencer types, and then some smaller people too.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I actually, that makes sense. Like the whole breadcrumb things. Like I'll do the same thing. I'll give people information just to see if they'll use it, just to see, gauge, because you never know. You can't trust these people, man.
Have you done that with me so far tonight?
No, no, I've been completely open and honest with you.
Cool. I mean, if you did,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
No, I like what false information would I have fed you?
No, no, not false. But like asking questions when it's one thing I do sometimes. I ask people questions when I already know more about it, just to see how they'll
Oh,
answer,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
stuff like
That
that.
makes sense. Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
And then so that became a thing. Now, the main anti-GamerGate forum, GamerGazi, they did condemn this group. They thought it was wrong what they did. So props to them. They did the right thing. And one of them actually was an employee, or well, a volunteer, I should say, for Zoe Quinn's organization, Izzy Galvez, and he worked for Amazon Trust and Safety. So the Amazon Trust and Safety guy is trying to dox people, which is insane. And then he also
Yeah.
volunteers for an anti-harassment group. Um, yeah, he volunteered for Zoe Quinn's group, which is an anti-harassment
Wow,
organization on paper, at least.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Then torrential downpour. So there were a lot of controversies about localization of games. Like do you play a lot of Japanese games?
No, I don't play any Japanese games.
Okay. Well, a lot of times when they're brought over to the West, they'll make changes to them.
Mm-hmm.
Which some of these changes are more controversial than others. But some of the games they really toned down in terms of like their sexy characters and stuff, or they changed
Oh yeah.
dialogue. Like Fire Emblem Fates was a big example in Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Like in Fire Emblem Fates, they ended up like changing this entire conversation that the characters had and making it about
Mm.
like made it about pickles when it wasn't originally about that. And just like people were really upset. They also took out a mini game from the game as well, where you pet characters' faces. They took that
Oh,
out in the West, but only in the American version.
interesting. Well, I mean, like, I'm sure that. I mean, it happens to transverse too. There's games that we have that aren't allowed in other countries, or they change it because of it doesn't match their, their rules or their laws or their, socially acceptable, you know, ideas.
Yeah, I'm opposed to that in all forms. I want to see the artistic vision of the
No,
creator.
exactly. Exactly, I agree.
So then in 2018, GamerGate starts winding down more, and by late 2017, it's starting to slow down. And then by 2018, I feel personally, at least, like the movement slowed down a lot. Like a lot of people aren't as interested into it as much as they used to be. A lot of people are
Mm.
moving on. Plus, all these people disagree with each other. So the pro GamerGate side was really diverse. A lot of left-wing people, some right-wing people, and people had different ideas about what this should be about. Some people thought, well, it should be about journalism and ethics, and other people are like, well, no, we need to take it in a culture war direction and become like culture warriors. And then other people thought
Mm.
it should only, it should be about fighting censorship too. Well, that became part of it as well. They got wrapped into it. And then other people thought that it should move in towards like trying to reform the industry, like trying to get rid of like certain DLC practices and stuff that they find to be problematic.
Oh. Once again, people taking it on themselves. So like I just don't know who's giving these people the responsibilities. Like, is anybody asking for any of this
For
besides the people who are the part of the problem?
for what specifically?
Like, people are like, oh, we should be cultural warriors. Who said? Who said?
So like let's see who would be like Brian Martinez. Brian Martinez from the Honey Badger Brigade. He's one of these people. Um, he thinks that the left. He believes that the left is trying to indoctrinate people by making movies and video games that have progressive messages in them.
Mm.
And so he thinks that that's a problem. I disagree. Um, but that was one thing that he fought. Like he thought we need to be culture warriors to fight them.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay, now I'm starting to understand.
So Kit Astro says, "What would be a constructive thing for us to do now, from now on?"
As far as Gamergate goes,
Or I don't know. He didn't specify. Do you
well,
have any
ask him to specify.
specify? Any questions from your chat?
Any questions, chat?
So in 2018, I did it. One of the last things, I guess, as part of the Gamergate stuff. I ran a meetup. Someone in San Francisco, Devil's Advocate, he ran a meetup. Because that's one thing that the Gamergate people did a lot. They would do meetups from 2015 to like 2018 or so, and some
Mm.
still small groups do. But yeah, we would just meet up in real life because all these people are online activists, part of this cause, and
Oh, gotcha.
they would want to meet with other people. Oh, what should the ex Gamergate people do now? He says.
Mind their business. Play a video game. Sit down. Shut up. Have fun. That's my suggestion. Like, there's nothing that a video game can't fix. Get a good game, play a good game, and it's fine. You're fine.
So
I
2018.
just don't.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I feel like people take this way too serious. I don't know. I mean, I understand it is a serious topic when it comes to like treating people correctly and all that good jazz, but like some people get a little too involved.
All right, we got another one
Like
here.
it's. Go ahead.
Oh, I just made another chat question. I was gonna read out. It was. Come on. Okay, well, we gotta restart this page real quick. Sorry. But it was how can we get people to start agreeing with each other and get along?
It's not gonna happen. That's why you just have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded individuals and keep it within your discourse community. Don't involve other people. It's not going to happen. Sorry. I don't believe in it.
Well, I believe in pluralism. I think that what we have to do in the 21st century, what we have to do as a society is uh, learn to tolerate and live with people who have like a wide array of different values and interests, as long as they
Yeah, but
agree
what if
on
it's
certain
based on
fundamental.
mental illness?
Well, then they belong in like a hospital or on medication or whatever, right?
I
If
agree.
it's extreme enough.
I agree.
So I did a debate in 2018 in St. Louis, a real life one.
Did you have fun?
Um, yeah, I guess so. It was recorded. We actually did a stream and live streamed it. But as far as I'm aware, no copies of this still exist, unless somebody
Of
downloaded it.
the stream?
Of the 2018 debate in real life.
Mm. Yeah, I did like Scholar Bowl and like I was on like the debate team, but it wasn't like I was only in it because like I got like hours for like requirements for like graduation and stuff like that, and like it looks good for like college apps. But honestly, all those people were insufferable
Yeah, the
because they
debate.
argue everything.
Yeah, I do debates, but like even my debates are usually like conversations. It depends on like the purpose I'm
Yeah,
going in with, I guess.
yeah.
But in this debate, the person I was debating later ended up like dating my friend. Kind of a weird story.
Wait, what?
The person I debated ended up dating my friend. They might have even been dating at the time, actually.
So weird, no?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. And well, you know what? If you want to get really spicy, I could tell like an original story.
Go ahead, feel free.
Um, so um, this person I work with them actually. I used to work with them at my old job, and they were anti GamerGate. I was pro GamerGate. They would even post on
Mm,
like the other forums and stuff, the GamerGazi forums.
wow.
Um, which like kind of like having your coworker be on the other side was like interesting and fun. But we like got along fine.
Yeah,
We actually got
that's what I'm
along.
saying. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, we got along personally just fine. And then we wanted to like do the debate at the meetup at one of the St. Louis meetups because I ran the
Mhm.
St. Louis meetups, and she was dating my friend. And then like we did the debate. It was a fine civil discussion, whatever. And then after the debate, like a few weeks later, they broke up. And she actually tried to falsely claim that I threw a pencil at her at work.
Oh my god.
No, she did. She went to like I don't know like HR or the boss or something. And then they pulled me in the office and asked me about it, and then they said we actually reviewed the footage and you didn't do it. Well, so okay, so get this. Okay, Sh she's like standing in like the area, like the
Mhm.
cubicle vestibule area. All right, I tossed the pencil like literally like 2 feet, like not even that, like onto the counter,
Mhm.
like 5 feet from her, and she claimed I threw it at her because I get she never like expressly said, "Oh, I did this because my friend just broke up with you." But it literally
Mhm.
happened like 2 days later, or like the same next day, maybe. So, I'm pretty sure that was the reason. But they actually fired her because it was a false claim. They actually saw the evidence. But she was also
Well, that's
involved in this
good.
whole other situation too. But I'm not going to talk about that. That wasn't involving me though. That was apparently they were part of this whole group chat at work where they were like talking shit about people. And so it was like
But here's the thing,
that
it's gonna
was
happen.
yeah.
It's gonna happen.
None of my business. I don't want to talk shit about anybody. I'm not going to name her or anything. But yeah, it's
I
so
have a
wild.
question
Yeah.
from chat. Do you condone what Gamergate is actually all about?
What is it actually
Would
all
you
about?
consider your Would you consider yourself a Gamergater?
Today, I don't know. I view GamerGate as over, but like in the past, I was, yes.
Mm. There's your question answered. Interesting. What do you think the future of what does the future hold for Gamergate?
Hopefully nothing, because I view it as a historical phenomenon. But
Oh, it's a historical phenomenon.
yeah, I don't. I think it's over. I think it ended around 2018, roughly. Um, some people disagree. Some people say, oh, it's still going. Some people say it's not over till we're vindicated. That's what one person told me. Um, that's what one person told me. Um, Do you think they'll be waiting a
Uh,
while?
Honestly, to me, like I said, it all just sounds very childish. Like, these are adults on the internet, like telling people what they can and cannot enjoy, and like harassing people, doxing people. It's kind of cringe, not gonna lie. I feel like I want the internet to go back to how it used to be, where you could sit down, play a video game, have some laughs, and go to bed happy. You know, that's the kind of internet I miss, and that's what it was for me when I used to spend hours and hours and hours playing Sims, burning them alive, making them reproduce, being able to do whatever the hell I wanted to do with my video games. It was really a great time period for me, and the fact that now people are like calling like for like or at least they were calling for like reform when it comes to like gaming and how you enjoy it. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to any of this, and I don't want to ever be a part of any of this, and it's all laughable to me. It's literally just nitpicking, bitching, complaining, consolation prizes, the far left being babies like usual. And I know people are going to say, oh, that's rich coming from you, considering you cry about everything, but I have an actual reason to cry about the same things. Like, these people, like, they're crying about, like, just injustice about, like, oh, well, this person got to be in an article because their game. It's just like, it's just too much. It's just too much.
I understand wanting to like just have fun and ignore all the bullshit, the drama, the fighting, the politics, the whatever culture war stuff. I completely get that. Um, I still think that it is important to talk about the ethical concerns, though. Like,
Sure it is, but not from like a place of like it has to change or you need to do this. Like, you have to understand it's a very like the way that you've explained it, or like even some of the articles I've read, it's very brutish. It does nothing to inspire change. If anything, it makes people be like like I said, I don't take people like this serious. I feel like it would do the same for other people. It's how they're going about it. It's what they're telling people they can and cannot do, or what we need to do. It's all about the verbiage.
I agree. I think that, like for instance, that article we read earlier, the 18 rules by Devin Wilson. Um, like he can express that opinion, and it's totally fine. Just don't act like you control like the industry. Like if you're like, oh, I
Exactly.
personally like games that are less violent. I personally like games that are like this, or I want to make games like that. Even like make your own stuff. And we talked about that. Do you know Vivian James, the
No.
character? Okay.
No. From what?
It's a fictional character, the GamerGate mascot, basically.
Oh, they've got a fucking mascot,
We
dude.
do. There's several mascots actually, but this is the main, most popular one. Go ahead and Google search or DuckDuckGo or whatever. Vivian James. Let me know what you think. I tell you, I know you're playing a game. I know I'm so rude.
Oh yeah, she seems like it looks like someone that's unenjoyable to be around.
I don't know. I think it's a cool design. It's kind of like a
Well, if we're
fuck you
talking
design.
about the character itself, yeah, but like what does Gamergate stand for? This is what Gamergate stands like you're adding a depiction to what Gamergate stands for. It's unenjoyable experience, right? Harassment, sexism, maybe a bit of mental illness, too much time on their hands. It's just unenjoyable all around for everyone. So,
Why do you think it
you're adding that.
was? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Why do you think it was sexist?
I'm not talking about the depiction. I'm talking about
Oh
Gamergate.
no, no. Why was Gamergate sexist? I mean,
Oh, well, because did they not just attack Brianna or something like that? And it was a bunch of incels. Incels are inherently sexist.
well, no, that wasn't. So the Wizardchan people, that was before Gamergate. That was a different group.
Oh,
That was a
okay.
different
That
group.
was the preface.
That
Okay.
was a preface.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that was a
misspoke.
separate community. Though some of those people, they might have been involved. I don't know, but like that was a separate group. That was like 8 months prior or 9 months prior, I think, because that was December 2013. So that and the Brianna Wu guy, Pterodax and Evius, both of those people, they weren't members of the movement. They didn't identify as being such. Um, well, I guess Pterodax did as a troll because he's like he held up a knife and he said I support Gamergate because I hate women as a
Mm,
joke. Because he wanted to fuck with people. But
yeah.
like they openly identify as trolls. They don't they don't like call themselves pro Gamergate. Though Ethan Ralph was pro Gamergate and he did harass Brianna Wu. So some of them did, but I think it was a very small minority of people. And there's studies on that too. There's
Wait,
go ahead.
here's the thing though. I think people have the definition of like trolling completely like wrong. Because people will say like terrible fucking things and they're like, "Oh, I'm just trolling. I'm just trolling." You got the idea of trolling like wrong. Like trolling has to have like a flair. It has to have a finesse. It has to have like an essence of like comedy to it. These people are just downright mean and hateful and evil.
Yeah, no, I think what they do is like quite awful and bad. But I say troll because like they didn't they it's not like they were like on one side or the other. They really didn't see themselves that way. They saw themselves as like, well, Avius saw himself as a right-wing troll, so he wanted to fuck with left-wing people, but
Mm,
he didn't know what Gamergate was even. He just didn't like Brianna Wu for other reasons. Um,
gotcha.
so that was like that was a separate sort of thing. Um, and then Pterodax, he wanted to fuck with people on both sides because he thought they were funny and he liked the way they reacted because they would sometimes overreact in crazy ways. People on both sides would, um, and so he would get a kick out of that. Like obviously it's not good behavior. He shouldn't be tweeting the picture of Brianna Wu. He shouldn't be jumping on these live streams and yelling the N word, which people were concerned would get their YouTube channels banned on their
Yeah,
stuff. And he
I
shouldn't be
have
doing
my
stuff
own
like that.
thoughts about the use of that word.
What do you think?
I feel like using the word in like a productive sense is okay. Like if I were like I'm not going to say it because you're on YouTube, but like if I were to say the hard R, I think it's completely fine if you're not actually using it as a racial epithet. Like if you're having a productive conversation about the word, like let's say we were discussing Kill a Mockingbird. It has the word in it. If we're like using the word in like the conversational sense, then it shouldn't there's like this like a immediate like oh my god you said the word like it's ridiculous like it's we're having a conversation about the word you don't have to like immediately get riled up about it or you shouldn't say that you no word should be banned unless it's used as a racial epithet or a slur or anything like that.
Well, I don't think any word should be banned at all, but I do agree that the context is highly important.
Y- yeah.
So they even made songs too. The Gamergate people they sung songs and
Okay, bro. Like again, see, that's what I'm saying. It's you. We talked about sensationalism. It's being sensationalized. They're making it like if it was a real thing. Like don't make songs about it. Don't make characters. Don't put a face to it. It's literally just like a. It's not real. It's a sham.
well
That's how I feel about it now.
if you have a movement though, like Black Lives Matter or Occupy Wall
Did
Street or
anyone
whatever,
put
right?
it? Did anyone in BLM make a fucking song about it or a character?
I wouldn't be surprised if they made songs.
No, there's no songs, there's no character. They had a martyr, they had George Floyd, they had Trayvon Martin, sure, but like they're not out here making songs. Realistic movements, political movements never come with fucking catchy ass jingles.
I don't know if that's true.
That's true, 100% true. 100.
That
Give me
they're
one actual real social movement that had a jingle.
well, communism does, right? They have like the what is it,
The,
the Internationale?
that's the national anthem of the USSR, and that's not a
Well,
jingle.
no, it was originally a workers' song though.
Okay, but it's not a fucking jingle.
Well, it's not just jingles. Like they did Christmas carols once as like as a community thing. Remember, this is like a community of people. These are people who every single day or most days are getting together. They're like, hey, look, what is the latest going on? Are we sending our emails? Are we making this artwork? These are all people
Well, let
working
me
together towards a common goal because they want to reform games journalism.
Well, in my humble opinion, from someone on the outside looking in, I don't take them serious because of that.
I think that community building stuff's important actually. If you're going to run a successful movement, I think getting people to stop.
There's community building, and then there's just like it's not serious. Like making songs, doing Christmas carols. Like, could you imagine if the BLM movement did Christmas carols?
I think it would be
Sure,
cool.
if it was a okay, buddy.
Oh, oh, also the
It's not
chat.
gonna it's not gonna happen.
An anti-Gamergate person in the chat, Miss Sonata. She says anti-war songs in the 1960s and 70s. What about that? For
Well, that's
the
fine. That makes sense. They're war songs, but this is not a war.
no,
This
it's
is
anti-war.
a
The peace
Okay,
protesters.
okay, that's fine, but that's anti-war. That's like an actual, like, it's like an actual thing. Like war, like, is a real thing, not some fucking like upset fucking group of fucking people on the internet over a video game. Like, it's different, and you cannot liken the two. They're completely different things. War is extremely like it's a bad thing. War is actually a bad thing. Whether or not you get representation in a fucking video game that someone's gonna touch one time in their life, maybe is not.
Well, it's
People
not.
actually die. People die in war. People actually die in war. People give their life up for people. People die for freedom in fucking war. It's not a liken to fucking Gamergate. Don't even try.
Well, Trump says that avoiding STDs was his personal Vietnam. Gamergate was my personal Vietnam.
Well, I never said that he was always saying the right things now, did I? But there's going to be presidents who open their mouth and they sound dumb every once in a while. We have a senile old man who's just a shell of a human body right now in a fucking office. Can't wait for him to get fucking out of office, dude. Like it's just insane that people try to liken this to war. Like it's that's not how it is. It's insane. And that's actually disrespectful to like even say that it's anything like war.
Well, when I say it, it's obviously a joke.
Because millions and millions and millions of people have been affected by war. Not millions and millions of people aren't affected by fucking video games, dude.
Well, they are though, right?
They're not. They're not. Not on the same level. I'm sorry. And no matter how you try to convince me,
No, not at the
it is
same
not
level.
the same
I
as
agree.
war.
It's not the same thing. Um, but like a lot of people care about their games and they're passionate about it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. A lot of people do care. But let me tell you, take that number of how many people care about a fucking video game and multiply it by millions, okay? War is a global thing. War affects absolutely everybody. Doesn't matter what gender, whatever identity, what sex, whatever fucking religion. War affects everybody. This gamer game, this GamerGate, whatever the fuck, it doesn't affect everyone on a global fucking scale. Gamergate won't end the world.
No.
War will.
Well, actually, so the historical record, though, I think that this is part of the reason I think it's so important. It's not just that all these. I think that the GamerGate people got unfairly demonized. Yes, that's true. I do think that. I think that that's important. That be cleared up. But I think that the historical record is wrong on this stuff. And I think that if we continue to move forward with this incorrect historical narrative, this one-sided historical narrative, and not looking at it from a diverse array of perspectives, I think if we continue to fail to learn from this, it's going to be quite bad because people have already started incorporating Gamergate into
Mm-hmm.
historical narratives that are like completely crazy. Like they say that like Asia Romano of Vox. If you Google Gamergate, one of the top results you get, it's from Vox. It's this article by Asia Romano who agreed to be
Vox is a
interviewed, but
great source for information, by the way.
uh,
And I say that highly sarcastically.
not Fox News, about VOX.
Vox.
Yeah,
Vox. Yeah, I'm talking about
yeah.
Vox. They've been involved in a lot of controversy about their like their sources or whatever the fuck it's called. I remember doing something about that in school on Vox.
Yeah, they I this particular article here from them, it's one of the top results if you Google
Mm.
Gamergate, and it's by this person. She agreed to be interviewed by me, by the way, but then she
Mhm.
ghosted me after she found out I was going to ask some tough questions about her article because I disagreed with some of it. But anyway, her whole thesis here in this article, I'll link it. So, um, it's that Gamergate caused Trump to get elected and is responsible for like the rise of the far right and all this stuff. Like this is what people believe is true, but it's completely false. It's fake news. Um, most of
Whenever Gamergate causes an uproar or like a concern for nuclear warfare, then I'll be concerned. Until then, it's just a laughable fucking movement. I don't get it. I really don't. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like there's actual real problems out there in the world and people are worried about stuff like this. I don't get it. I really don't. And I'm not trying to close off or anything. I'm just saying like it makes no sense to me.
yeah, but people believe it, and because of this, like we're gonna have like if people continue to believe like this fake narrative about like the far right stuff, especially like I think that that's going to like lead to people making really bad decisions moving forward. It's gonna change the way that society thinks about thinks about the internet, thinks about censorship, thinks about online discourse, thinks about gaming. All this because of this fake history that people are trying to promote. Because like most of the Gamergate people, we have evidence on this. We had evidence on this back during GG because there have been studies done. Like one of them is a really high quality study actually of the Gamergate people, and they were mostly left wing. And then I've also interviewed over 70 people. Almost none of them think that the Gamergate was mostly right wing. Like nobody believes that's true. And even I actually know how the GamerGate people voted, or how they say they voted. We can talk about that if you want. Um, but this is like a smaller sample because it's only of the people I've interviewed.
Mm.
But they didn't vote for Trump. Like this, not some of them did, but others didn't. Sorry, I'm pulling it up now. It's gonna take a minute to load because it's super, super,
It's
super
okay.
long.
It's okay.
But basically, 1/3 of them voted for Trump. 1/3 of them voted for Biden. Or sorry, planning to. They're planning to in the upcoming election. A
Mm.
third of them are planning to vote for Trump. A third of them are planning to vote for Biden, and 40% of them are third party or undecided.
Mm. Wait, Biden's up for re-election, correct?
Yes, yeah. So
How?
actually 28% of
How?
28% of the so it's out of 27 respondents for the pro GG side, but some of those people are not American, and this is a question that I only ask the American people. So some smaller number as it loads in, but I know the stats. 33% voted for Trump, 20 are planning on voting for Trump, 28% are planning on voting for Biden, and then the rest are undecided or third party of the American GamerGate supporters. But half of the GamerGate people don't even live in the United States. So um, but that's also that 33% for Trump and 28 for Biden. That's probably going to change because the survey period's closed. But there's three people who are outstanding because they had major stuff happening during the survey period, and they're like, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, I got this going on in my life. Can you please extend it for me?" And so there's three people, one pro, one anti, one neutral, who I'm allowing to take the survey at a later date, out of
Mm.
respect for their life situation that happened. But I know
Mm.
the one pro Gamergate person who's still outstanding and still is going to take it later on is more was leaning more pro Biden last I heard.
Mm.
Um, but that could change, but by the time they decide to fill it out. So it's probably going to be exactly 30 30 60 in terms of, or 30 30 40 in terms of how they break down in terms of percentage.
Gotcha.
But that could be wrong. Maybe that person's going to vote third party, or maybe they'll go for Trump.
Mm.
But yeah, this idea that they were like Trump people, that they caused Trump to get elected, or that most of them were like far right or something, it's just not true.
This is a deeply rooted thing.
And then there's like the media coverage. We talked about that a little bit. There's something that happened at the CBC. There's actually someone I could hook you up with if you want to talk with him. Um, his name's Lunar Archivist. He's basically spent the past. If you think I'm crazy, this guy, I like him. Okay, he's a good guy. Nothing against him. I think it's great that he's doing this stuff. But he spent the past like 10 years with some other people, um, trying to convince the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the CBC, to be more fair in their coverage of Gamergate.
Gotcha.
And sorry, it's getting kind of late. But he's actually done like a huge statistical analysis of what
Mm-hmm.
happened. And if you look at it, they did multiple interviews. This one person in particular was interviewed 3 times by 3 different people, and he does an analysis of the interviews, and the interviews are almost word for word exactly the same. There's the intros are 90% identical, and the rest of the interviews was I think like 78% identical.
Mm. So what does that mean?
Well, I don't know. Like why are they identical? These are 3 different interviewers, all for the same corporation, asking the same exact questions and getting the same exact answers. 70 it was like 78% or something of the time. Like how did this occur? Well, I don't know. I don't. Maybe it was collusion. I don't know. We might never know. But he was very skeptical of this. He thought it was weird that this happened. Um, he still thinks it's weird. And then there's also when they went to cover it, John Bowman, he's one of their journalists. He actually interviewed 2 GamerGate supporters, Ginny Barrage and Jennifer Daw. Um, one's a game developer, a female game developer who disagrees with like the position that Brianna Wu's taken, for instance. But they didn't run with their stories at all. They have the full interviews. And John Bowman, he says that the editors, that the management, that the man, I don't know, if it was the editors or the management wanted to do. They told him to not run with that, to not run with their interviews.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. I guess because they didn't want to run with the more complicated story that like, hey, look, there's people on both sides of this GamerGate thing who have strong views, and they instead just went with this harassment story instead, and they left out the pro GamerGate side completely.
Mm, it's weird. Yeah, there's definitely yeah, there's probably a lot of conspiracies that go along with this. Well, in itself, it is kind of a conspiracy. I think the entire like package of GamerGate.
What questions? I'm doing a survey. I did a survey basically. It's almost entirely closed. Is there anything you want to know about the GamerGate people? Because I asked them a fuck ton of questions.
Oh, like I said, I really don't. I didn't know anything about this. I don't. And when I say this, it's only because I don't mean to sound like rude. It's like it's not an interest of mine because I take video games at face value. Okay, is it interesting? Is it fun to play? Does it keep my attention? If it doesn't do one of those three things, then I'm not playing it. So like I don't care what social like change needs to come up because I'm not like I don't complain because I'm not bothered by what's wrong with video games. I know that I am sane. I know that like I'm not crazy and video games don't influence me to do things. So this stuff does not affect me, so I don't care. And I mean that like in like for lack of a better term. I it doesn't affect me, so I don't worry about stuff like this. I'm not deep into it like an investigative journalist or anything like that.
Okay. So, do you want to do the recent events like the GamerGate 2 stuff and the conference that's coming up, and then we can wrap it up?
Yeah, let me use the restroom really quick and then we can finish up.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna step away too.
Chat, I'll be right back.
All right. How is everyone doing? Am I coming through better now, or? Yeah, I think we'll be wrapping up soon. I've just got, from the outline I made at least, if we go through the full thing, we've got recent events. We're gonna go over the Alaka stuff, and then the Sweet Baby controversy, um, the Alt 4 conference, my crowdfunding campaign, and then just we'll probably wrap it up from there. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about. Better? Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone. Hey, Mist. Hey, Kit. Hey, Porcelain. Roger Wilco. Mr. Fibble. Audi. What do you think of the Tachyon face reveal? Disappointed you don't look like a fighter pilot? True. Oh, welcome back.
Hello.
Hey. All right, ready to wrap it up here soon and do the recent events. We just finished GamerGate 1. We got to get GamerGate 2.
Let's hope there's not a GamerGate 3.
So before the GamerGate 2 stuff, one of the more recent events is Zoe Quinn comes back into the fold in 2019, and she makes a claim against Alacoloca, this game developer who lives in Canada, who she lived with for a while. She says that he sexually assaulted her, um, and that he wouldn't let her leave the house. That
Mhm.
when they were living together, that she wasn't allowed to go places, and some people have questioned if that's true because of tweets that she made at the time
Mhm.
of her like taking pictures of herself around. I think it was Calgary, or I think it was Calgary. I don't know. I can link you an article about it. Um, and so people are like, well, so she come to 2019 that this is 2012 sexual assault occurred, and he loses his job from Infinite Ammo, this company he founded. He was like the
Mhm.
CEO, but he was like still the owner, but not the CEO anymore. He was like forced to step down from that role, and then he killed himself 3 days later.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and people are asking like, was this story true? It seems like there's a history of tales here that are a little tall, and um, then basically Zoe Quinn went kind of quiet. She did a Kickstarter campaign a little bit before that, and that game never came out. That's like the second time that she asked people for money for a project that didn't come out. And then now she does comic books and doesn't do game stuff anymore, really.
Mhm.
Anyway, do you have anything you want to say about that or ask about that or
No, well, like obviously, it's if someone takes their life because of this, like someone should be. Is it like? Do we think that he took his life because of all this bullshit?
probably? But it's also been reported too that he had some mental health problems prior to this too.
Mm. It's
But I'm
probably like
sure,
the straw that broke the camel's back.
yeah.
So what in the coming months or years could we see as a effect of Gamergate? Like, do you
Um,
think there's any going to be any changes, or is it just going to be like, yeah, swept under the rug or not cared about?
I think it's already kind of like historically been mostly swept under the rug, or not. I don't know. Like
Mm.
I don't know really, but it seems that way in some cases.
Mm.
Like it seems like the story that if you go on Wikipedia, you're not going to hear much of what I told you today. You'll hear some,
Wow.
but some of the other events, it seems like because the Wikipedia is based on the media coverage of Gamergate, and also,
It's also not a reputable source.
yeah, and much of the article was written by one person named Ryu Long, who was like a super dedicated. You think I'm crazy on Gamergate, dude?
Yeah.
This guy, he literally he's made thousands of edits to the Rational Wiki article and the Gamergate Wikipedia article about
Mm.
Gamergate. He's done thousands of edits. Um, it's kind of wild, and like he's got personal ties with Zoe Quinn, and her group. Like because in the chat logs of their group, they're even talking about, hey, let's get Ryu Long to change this article. They literally say this in their chat group. And then they also he took money. He took money from Gamer Gazi, but that's because he was moving from Japan to somewhere else,
Hmm.
and he wanted them to fund like his flight or his like part of his flight or something like that. But that's probably not something he should be doing if he's asking for money from a community that's involved in a controversy whose article he's editing. That's probably not
Yeah,
something he should be doing.
true. That makes sense.
So,
Mm.
do you want to talk about Gamergate too, or I know you're getting kind of tired. It's up to you.
It depends. It depends. I'm
Uh,
getting a little antsy.
I can be fast.
Okay, go
All right.
fast.
So, long story short, Sweet Baby Inc. controversy. This company called Sweet Baby Inc. They work on games. They do like
Hmm.
narrative consulting. They're more of a progressive company. Some people speculate that they might do a bad job on the games. Um,
Hmm.
you mentioned earlier. Do you
This
speculate that they do a bad
seem
job?
Well, here's the thing. I did a little bit of research before we talked on. It was only on GamerGate 2.0, and they said that there's like a whole list made where it's games that they've worked on or been a part of, and it's like it's a little biased because it's like a bunch. again.
Yeah, so this guy named Cabrutus makes this list of games that they've worked on, yeah, on Steam, and then the Chris Kindred, one of the employees who works for Sweet Baby Inc., he doesn't like this.
Mhm.
Um, he tells his Twitter followers to mass report the Steam group associated with the
Mhm.
curator page and also
Yep.
Cabrutus's personal Steam account. But he fails to get him banned. The media reports on this, but Kotaku, The Guardian, and several other sites, Aftermath as well, they don't talk about the Sweet Baby Inc. employees harassing Cabrutus, or encouraging their followers to do so, rather. They don't talk
It's not
about
they
that in their
wouldn't.
articles. And then some of the journalists even say, Ashe Parrish of The Verge, she says that her editor told her to take that out of the story. So it's kind of
Mm.
weird. Why would that
Yeah.
happen? I don't know. And then one of the other journalists too, Alyssa Mercante of Kotaku, she interviewed somebody about it who said, "Hey, look, we're the ones being harassed by Sweet Baby Inc. employees, not the other way around." And she didn't run with that interview or include it in her story for some reason. So then this sort of blows up. There's some other controversies that happen. One of them, I criticized both sides of this. Cabrutus, he decided that he wanted to criticize unfairly this person named Yi Zhang. She runs the New York City Gumbo Group. And Vincent Martin, he's in the chat. He's talked about that in his videos as well. I've interviewed EE. She's really cool. I guess we're friends. Um,
Mm.
but I should disclose that. Um, but she seems really cool, and he makes a tweet basically criticizing her and saying that she's encouraging people to engage in hiring discrimination on the basis of immutable
Mm.
characteristics, which is illegal in the United States of America, and that she's encouraging people to do this with her group. He says, but that's not actually true. He misrepresented her, and he looked at an old video of hers from September 2023, and he
Mm.
misrepresented the situation. And so I told him, I said, you should apologize. And he refused to do so. Um,
Mm.
and basically, yeah. So I'm not a big fan of Cabrutus necessarily. I don't like dislike him. I think he's being like kind of influenced by people around him who are like
Mm.
die-hard culture warrior people. But he's taken like a dark path in life too, so far. So we'll see how it all turns out in the end, I guess. But then there's no movement with the GamerGate 2 thing specifically. It's really just like a controversy. Whereas like the first GamerGate, a whole movement was spawned. It's not really that with the GamerGate 2 stuff. Maybe it could go in that direction, but so far I don't think it's going to.
Mm.
And then there's a conference coming up, and it's called Alt F4, and it's run by it's Lawrence Technological University
Mm.
in Detroit. Well, it's like near Detroit, if not in Detroit. But they're running a conference about GamerGate. They're going to study it, they say. But everyone at the conference is anti-GamerGate. There's a couple people who might be neutral, 9 people, I
Yeah.
guess, who might be neutral because they've never talked about it publicly, but they don't have a single pro-GamerGate voice among them. Um, and so we're trying to convince myself and a bunch of others are trying to politely encourage the organizers of the conference, Paul Jawson and some other people, to add diversity to the conference. We're hoping he will do that.
Or just not have any label on it whatsoever. Just have a fucking conference and whoever shows up, shows up.
Well, they don't invite any of the pro Gamergate people though. Like we never
Well,
got the
then make it
invites.
open. Don't invite anybody. Just make it open. If you want to come to this convention, come to the convention. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be diversified. It doesn't have to be one side or the other. Just have a convention and or don't invite anyone. Just make it open invite and let people come if they want to go. That's the easiest way to avoid all that.
I think that I if they want to just say, hey, look, it's open, anybody can come, that's fine. But like they are flying certain people out too, and the
Oh,
all
so it's about not getting both sides of the story.
yeah, they're not including the other side at all. But now, unless some of the neutral people, maybe they do like research in their fair. That's really cool. Like,
Okay, then yeah, that makes
but
sense.
but none of the people they've invited like Anita Sarkeesian, who's anti-Gamergate. They invited 3 other anti-Gamergate people who've all criticized the movement in public, and they don't have a single person who was a part of the movement or has studied the movement as sympathetic at all.
Mm.
I just want to have them show both sides, but they've been reluctant so far. to do that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's in. You said when? November?
It's September.
September. Well,
Yeah.
there we have a few months. Maybe they'll change or something, or maybe it'll get canceled. I feel like uh ultimately it's gonna. I don't know. I feel like it's just weird. I have no opinion. Let me just be real. I have no opinion.
Well, hey, that's basically the full outline, pretty much. Is there anything you want to talk about?
I'm all talked out. I talked a lot. I didn't know it was gonna go this long. I thought because like I said I don't know anything about this. Like I don't get too deep into it. So when I was like, oh, like sure, we'll talk about it. And I'm always open to meeting new people and talking about stuff, but I didn't know it was like a whole thing.
Well, hopefully it wasn't too boring.
No, it wasn't boring. It's just it's hard for me like to have conversations like this because like I want to move, I want to do something. Like I'm not medicated for my ADHD anymore, so it's like it's really been a struggle for me. So like I tried my best. I hope I didn't come across like bitchy or conniving or anything.
No, you came across great. I feel like I talked way too much, but I guess that's because, I'm your guest talking about the subject, so it makes
Yeah.
sense. Well, hey, well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming. You stream on YouTube too? I can raid you.
No, just kick. Kick's the only one.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, I guess I'll give you a chance to shout yourself out, and then I'll shout myself out too. Where can people find you, Merc?
Oh, awesome. You can find me on Kick, Mercoffdaperc. That is me. Like I said, I'm a variety streamer. Right now, I've been playing a lot of Overwatch and just hanging out. I love music, so we do a lot of music related stuff and just good vibes. Nothing serious, nothing too crazy. So,
What kind of music stuff?
well, I recently just got a DJ deck. So, like, I do like I've been as a hobby trying to DJ. I listen to a lot of music, a lot of house, a lot of EDM, techno, stuff like that. So a lot of music's always playing. And then I do play Overwatch. Recently just started. I'm a Pharah main. So yeah, that's it.
Cool.
Oh, I also do IRL sometimes. Yeah, I forgot. I do IRL streams too.
Why Farah?
I like her. I don't know. She's enjoyable. I like the missiles and stuff. So. And I hate playing support. I refuse to play support. Tanks, eh. I mean, Winston's decent, but like, yeah, Fair's meant for me. So.
Yeah, I don't play too much anymore, but I would do Mercy mostly, support.
Oh, bro. She's
I
so
usually
hard.
I know, but I've gotten pretty good with it. Well, I mean, like, not pro level by any stretch. Like you'd kick my
Yeah.
ass 1,000%, but like I'm okay with like the ranking I'm in.
Mm. Yeah, I'm so hard stuck bronze 4, so.
Well, I'm Tachyon Blue, Kevin McDonald. Soon I'll be doing the Kickstarter campaign probably, but that's in the coming months or coming weeks and months. Right now, if you're interested in my content, if you want to learn more about this, you want to be up to date when the Kickstarter hits, follow me on YouTube. I'm also on Kick as well, kick.com/Tachyon Blue, and then youtube.com/ at the Tachyon Blue, or just Tachyon Blue on YouTube. I'm also on Twitch too, but I don't really get anything there ever, so. Um, yeah, Twitter as well. Tachyon Blue without an E at the end on Twitter, and I'm on other social media as well. There's a link to Merck's socials on the description, and mine as well. So if you're watching on my end, check out the video description. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, uh, and be sure to super chat too for both of us when you get a chance. All right. Well, hey, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, Merck, and thanks for
Of
having me.
course, thank you for reaching out, and if you ever want to talk in the future, if you have any more GamerGate updates, feel free to let me know.
Cool, cool, absolutely, absolutely. And have a good night. We're gonna go ahead and raid. I can't raid you on Kick because I've only got 2 viewers on Kick right now.
It's
Um,
okay.
but I will raid
I just got knocked
David
off
Jaffe
anyway. So.
on. Yeah, yeah. What?
I get DDoSed a lot.
Oh, really?
Oh, I'm back now. Yeah, yeah. That was another thing. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Again, yeah.
Cool. Well, it's our
Anyway, back.
first time raiding David Jaffe, so all 7 of you watching on YouTube, go check him out and tell him Tachyon Blue sent you, and tell him that he should talk to Tachyon Blue because Tachyon Blue has many similar interests to him.